Massachusetts is a land where history and hauntings go hand in hand. Its cobblestone streets, colonial buildings, and sprawling estates carry stories etched in blood, tragedy, and whispers of the otherworldly. Tonight, we step into the grand but shadowed halls of the state's most haunted mansions. Behind polished wood and elegant facades hide chilling secrets, spiritless spirits, unexplainable phenomena, and the echoes of lives long past. So dim the lights, let the silence deepen, and prepare yourself. These are the 25 most haunted mansions in Massachusetts that still guard their dark secrets. The Hooper House in Cambridge, Massachusetts, stands as one of the oldest surviving houses in the city. Its weathered exterior, a silent testament to centuries of history. Built in 1685, this mansion has witnessed generations of residents, wars, political upheavals, and social change. Behind its elegant facade, however, whispers of tragedy and restless spirits endure. Those who know its history or have walked its halls at night speak of ghostly encounters, strange sounds, and a heavy, unshakable presence that suggests the house has not forgotten its past. During the Revolutionary War, Massachusetts was a hotbed of tension between loyalists and patriots. Families were divided, neighbors turned against one another, and violence often erupted without warning. The Hooper house became an unwilling participant in this turbulent era. According to local lore, 5 loyalist soldiers found themselves within its walls, whether seeking refuge, treatment, or hiding from enemies. Their stories end the same way. They died in the mansion, their lives cut short in a time of violent upheaval. Some say their deaths were sudden and brutal, while others whispered that illness or betrayal sealed their fate. Whatever the truth, their presence is said to remain, and the house has never known peace since. Visitors and residents have long reported strange occurrences. Late at night, when the house is quiet, the sound of boots striking the wooden floors can be heard. As though soldiers are marching in formation, these phantom footsteps echo through the hallways, even when no one is present. Sometimes, voices accompany them, low, hushed murmurs that drift from room to room. Listeners strain to make out the words, but the language is indistinct, as though coming from another time. Many believe these are the voices of the fallen loyalists, still whispering their secrets in the afterlife. The rooms themselves carry an air of unease. In certain chambers, visitors describe feeling watched, the sensation of unseen eyes following their every movement. Cold spots appear without warning, sudden chills that sink into the skin even on warm days. Lights flicker, doors creak open on their own, and objects shift slightly as though nudged by invisible hands. For those sensitive to the paranormal, the energy is overwhelming, an oppressive weight that presses down with every step deeper into the house. Accounts from caretakers and guests paint a vivid picture of the lingering spirits. One story tells of a woman touring the home who paused in a second-floor room. She claimed to see the faint outline of men in 18th-century uniforms, their forms barely visible, yet undeniable. They stood near the window, gazing outward as if watching for approaching enemies. When she blinked, the figures vanished, leaving only the stillness of the empty room. Another visitor reported hearing the distinct sound of muskets being loaded and prepared. The metallic clink unmistakable, though no weapons remain in the house. The Revolutionary War is not the only source of sorrow in the Hooper house. Over its long history, countless families have lived within its walls, and with family life inevitably came sickness, hardship, and death. In an era before modern medicine, illness claimed young and old alike, and it is said that the spirits of those who died here still linger. Some visitors hear the faint cries of children echoing through the halls. Others describe the sudden aroma of candle wax or pipe smoke, scents tied to daily life centuries ago, inexplicably strong in rooms where no flame or tobacco is present. One of the most chilling reports comes from the Great Hall. On quiet evenings, a dark shadow has been seen gliding across the room, moving swiftly from one corner to another. Witnesses insist it is not a trick of the light, but rather the restless soul of someone who cannot leave. Paranormal investigators who have studied the house captured unexplained voices on audio recordings, faint but distinct. One recording seemed to say, "Leave," while another whispered, they're coming. These messages only add to the belief that the fallen Loyalist soldiers remain bound to the house by the trauma of their final moments. The Cambridge Historical Society, which later took ownership of the home, preserved much of its structure and design, ensuring that the mansion continues to stand as a link to the past. Yet, even those dedicated to its care admit to strange experiences. Staff members working late into the evening have reported hearing footsteps on the staircase behind them, only to turn and find no one there. Some refuse to be in the house alone after dark, unnerved by the certainty that they are not truly alone. While skeptics dismiss the tales as the product of overactive imaginations or the creaks and groans of an old building settling, those who have experienced the unexplainable are not so quick to doubt. The Hooperlinicals house has stood for more than 300 years, and the energy of all that time, all those lives, seems to linger in its walls. Whether it is the spirits of Loyalist soldiers, former residents, or simply the weight of history itself, the atmosphere within the house is undeniably heavy, as though every brick remembers. Even today, visitors who approach the house with curiosity often leave with stories of their own. Some describe the distinct feeling of being brushed by unseen hands, as if someone is trying to get their attention. Others say they caught glimpses of movement out of the corner of their eye, only to turn and find nothing there. For many, the most haunting aspect is the silence that follows the still, oppressive quiet that makes the heart race and the imagination reel. The Hooperlinicals house remains a vital part of Cambridge's historic landscape, admired for its age and architecture, but beyond its beauty lies something far more chilling. A reminder that history is never truly gone. The footsteps of soldiers still echo across the floors. Voices of the long-dead murmur in the shadows, and the past refuses to rest. For those who dare to walk its halls, the Hooperlinicals house is more than just a historic building. It is a doorway into another time, where the living and the dead still share the same space. The Fairbanks House in Dedham, Massachusetts, is a rare piece of living history. Built around 1637, it stands as America's oldest surviving timber frame house. Its weathered beams and creaking floors whispering stories of nearly 4 centuries of life, death, and mystery. Generations of the Fairbanks family lived and died within its walls. And with that long legacy comes a weight of memory that seems carved into the very wood. For many, the house is not simply a relic of the past. It is a place where the veil between the living and the dead remains thin, and where the family's spirits never truly left. Visitors who step inside the house often remark on its atmosphere. The air feels heavy, charged with something unseen, as if the walls themselves hold secrets that resist silence. Drafts move through the rooms in ways no open window can explain, and cold spots linger even in the height of summer. Paranormal investigators have long been drawn to the Fairbanks house, and over the years, countless reports of ghostly activity have built a reputation that rivals any haunted site in New England. One of the most common stories involves ghostly children. Guests and caretakers alike have heard the sound of small footsteps scampering across wooden floors, quick and playful, only for the rooms to stand empty upon inspection. Some claim to see fleeting shadows darting down hallways, the size and shape of children, laughing faintly before vanishing into thin air. These spirits are often connected to the many young Fairbanks family members who died early, their lives cut short in an era when disease and misfortune were constant companions. Their joy and innocence may still echo in the home, replaying the moments that once filled the rooms with life. But the spirits of children are not the only presence reported. Many visitors have described the sensation of being touched, an icy hand brushing across their arm, or the gentle tug of fabric at the hem of a coat. These moments, while not malicious, are profoundly unsettling, especially when accompanied by the sudden drop in temperature that seems to follow. Guests sometimes leave convinced that a child was trying to get their attention, seeking companionship in a home where their voices have long been silenced. The hearth of the Fairbanks house, once the heart of family life, is said to be home to the most sorrowful of spirits. Countless witnesses report the figure of a woman lingering near the fireplace, her form faint and wavering, yet undeniably present. She does not speak, but her grief is palpable. Many believe she is a Fairbanks matriarch, mourning endlessly for her lost family. In centuries past, the hearth was where meals were cooked, stories were told, and warmth was shared. To see her spirit tied to this place suggests that her love and her sorrow remain forever bound to the center of the home. Those who encounter her describe an overwhelming sense of sadness. A sudden weight presses on the chest, as though her despair has seeped into the living. Some have been moved to tears without understanding why, as if her grief reaches across time to touch them directly. Her presence is one of the most powerful reminders that the Fairbanks house is more than just a building. It is a vessel for centuries of human emotion, joy, and pain. Other accounts speak of disembodied voices echoing through the rooms. Late at night, caretakers have reported hearing hushed conversations, too faint to make out, but undeniably human. A child's giggle might be heard in one moment, followed by the low murmur of adults in the next. On occasion, a loud thud, or the sudden slam of a door, interrupts the quiet, though no one is near. These sounds, captured on recordings by paranormal investigators, lend credence to the idea that the house remains alive with the energy of its former residents. Strange lights are also common. Visitors have reported glowing orbs floating through darkened rooms, their movements deliberate and intelligent, as though aware of being observed. Photographs taken in the house sometimes reveal streaks of light or misty forms, anomalies that skeptics struggle to explain away. For believers, these are clear signs of the spectral presence that has made the Fairbanks house such a magnet for ghost hunters. The house itself seems to amplify the haunting. Its timber frame, weathered by centuries, creaks and groans under the weight of time, creating a natural symphony of unsettling sounds. But within these ordinary noises are patterns too deliberate to dismiss. Footsteps echo on stairs that no one climbs. Doors swing shut with a force no draft could muster. Windows fog from within, as though breath presses against the glass. Even the smell of wood smoke and candle wax drifts through the air, conjuring images of lives lived long ago. For descendants of the Fairbanks family, the house is both a treasured landmark and a place of unease. Many are proud of its history, but admit to feeling something uncanny when visiting. Some believe the spirits linger not out of malice, but because of deep attachment, centuries of lives tied to the home, reluctant to leave behind the hearth and halls that defined their existence. Local lore has added layers to the mystery. Some say the family carried with them not just their earthly struggles, but also burdens of guilt, loss, and unspoken secrets. Stories of family feuds, untimely deaths, and tragedies passed down through generations suggest that the Fairbanks legacy was not always peaceful. Whether the spirits remain to guard those secrets or simply because they cannot move on, their presence has become inseparable from the house itself. Even for skeptics, the Fairbanks house is difficult to dismiss. The sheer consistency of the reports, from children's laughter to the mourning woman at the hearth, weaves a tapestry of experiences too rich to ignore. Those who enter expecting only an old historic home often leave with a sense of unease, convinced that they were not alone. Some refuse to return, while others are drawn back, eager to glimpse the spirits again. The Fairbanks house stands today not just as a monument to American history, but as a living reminder that the past does not always rest quietly. Its walls have absorbed centuries of life, death, and sorrow, and those who cross its threshold step into more than a house. They step into a world where time folds in on itself, and the presence of those long gone lingers still. For many, it is a place where history breathes, and where the dead walk quietly among the living, unwilling or unable to leave the home they once loved. The Crane Estate in Ipswich, Massachusetts, is a place of elegance and grandeur. Perched high above the Atlantic, its sweeping lawns roll gracefully toward the sea, and its stately mansion, Castle Hill, exudes the timeless majesty of early 20th century architecture. By day, it appears to be a paradisa, picturesque symbol of wealth and refinement, drawing visitors from all over the world to admire its beauty. Yet when the sun sinks below the horizon and the estate is swallowed by night, the idyllic facade begins to crumble, and whispers of something darker emerge. For many, The Crane Estate is more than just a jewel of history. It is a place where spirits linger, and where the land itself seems unwilling to rest quietly. Guests who wander the estate after hours often speak of an atmosphere that shifts dramatically with the coming of night. The air grows unnaturally still, the sound of waves crashing on the distant shoreline, muffled as if the land itself is holding its breath. Within the mansion, footsteps echo through empty halls. Doors open and close of their own accord, and flickering lights give the impression of movement where no one should be. It is as though the house itself becomes a living entity, awakening after dark to remind visitors that beauty can conceal shadows. One of the most chilling locations is the grand staircase. By day, it is a masterpiece of design, with sweeping lines and carved details. But at night, many have reported seeing shadows slipping silently up and down the steps. The figures are fleeting, more suggestion than form, but unmistakably human in shape. Visitors who pause too long on the staircase sometimes feel an oppressive weight, as though unseen eyes are fixed upon them, following each movement. Those brave enough to continue upward often report hearing faint laughter trailing just behind them, though the halls above are empty. The ballroom, once alive with music and the swirl of gowns, carries its own spectral signature. Built for lavish gatherings and grand celebrations, it now resonates with echoes of the past. Guests have described hearing laughter ring out across the empty space, accompanied by the faint strains of music, as though the room itself remembers the nights when it was filled with life. On more than one occasion, caretakers have entered to investigate, only to find the chandeliers swaying gently as if dancers had only just departed, their joy still clinging to the air. Some attribute these disturbances to the spirit of a servant who never left the estate. According to local lore, a member of the household staff met an untimely and tragic end on the property. Whether through accident or misfortune, the servant is said to remain bound to the house that once defined their life. Those who believe in this story often describe the haunting as mischievous rather than malevolent. Doors slamming to announce a presence, lights flickering to remind the living that someone still lingers, and laughter echoing in the ballroom as though the servant takes delight in mocking the solemnity of silence. But not everyone agrees. Others insist that the root of the Crane Estate's haunting lies not within its walls, but within the land itself. Long before the mansion was built, the grounds of Castle Hill were home to indigenous peoples who lived and hunted along the coastline. Some local historians suggest that disturbances began when the land was reshaped for the estate, disrupting the balance of what had once been sacred ground. The notion of a curse tied to the land has fueled countless tales, with whispers that the shadows and voices are not remnants of the Crane family or their staff, but something much older, forces bound to the hill and sea long before the mansion stood. Visitors exploring the grounds after dark often describe strange phenomena not limited to the mansion. Along the sweeping lawns, shadowy figures are said to dart between the trees, too quick and too deliberate to be tricks of the eye. On the terraces overlooking the ocean, people have reported hearing voices carried on the windlow, mournful whispers that fade into the roar of the surf. Some have even claimed to see faint lights glowing in the woods, drifting as though lanterns carried by invisible hands. When followed, these lights vanish without a trace, leaving only silence in their wake. Paranormal investigators who have ventured into the Crane Estate frequently report significant activity. Cold spots appear suddenly in rooms where no draft exists, and recording devices capture disembodied voices, often faint but insistent. One investigator described a chilling experience in which a voice whispered directly into his ear, though no one stood beside him. Others have caught unexplained shadows darting across walls, or orbs of light appearing in photographs taken in the dimly lit corridors. The unsettling energy of the estate has not diminished over the years. Guests who attend modern-day events sometimes leave with more than just fond memories of its beauty. Some return with stories of icy hands brushing their skin, of being watched from the upper windows of the mansion, or of hearing phantom footsteps echoing through the grand halls long after the crowds have gone. Even staff members admit unease when tasked with locking up the mansion at night. often finishing their duties quickly, unwilling to linger in the silence. Despite its haunting reputation, the Crane estate continues to captivate visitors, drawing them in with its unparalleled beauty. Perhaps it is this very contrast, the breathtaking elegance by day and the chilling mysteries by night, that makes it such an enduring place of fascination. To walk its grounds is to feel the pull of history, grandeur, and an undeniable sense of something otherworldly just beyond reach. Whether the hauntings stem from a restless servant, a curse rooted in the land, or simply the echoes of time preserved in its walls, one truth is undeniable. The Crane estate is a place where the past refuses to fade. Its sweeping lawns and grand architecture may dazzle the eye, but beneath the surface lies an atmosphere thick with memory, sorrow, and mystery. Visitors may come for beauty, but many leave with an unshakable impression that they were not alone, that the mansion and its grounds still hum with voices from another time. The Crane estate remains a paradise tinged with shadows, its legacy as haunted as it is grand. The Gore Place in Waltham, Massachusetts, is a magnificent federal-style mansion that has stood proudly since the early 1800s, known as the Monticello of the North. It was once the summer home of Christopher Gore, a prominent lawyer, politician, and governor of Massachusetts, and his wife, Rebecca. By day, the estate is a picture of elegance. Its sweeping lawns, carefully preserved architecture, and refined symmetry reflect the grandeur of its time. To visitors, it appears a serene monument to history, embodying the prosperity and culture of early America. But when the sun sets and the estate is cloaked in darkness, Gore Place becomes something altogether different. The refined atmosphere gives way to an unsettling silence, and the mansion transforms into a place where whispers of the past seem alive and restless. Over the decades, countless guests and caretakers have reported strange experiences that cannot be explained by creaking wood or the tricks of imagination. Perhaps the most chilling reports involve the attic. Paranormal investigators, who have been allowed inside the mansion after hours, describe it as a space heavy with tension. Its silence so thick, it presses against the chest. Many claim to have heard voices calling from above, soft, indistinct, and echoing as though carried from a great distance. Some describe the voices as urgent whispers, while others say they sound like muffled cries. Yet, when the attic is searched, it is always empty. Equipment left behind has recorded strange noises, knocks, footsteps, and sometimes what appears to be words, though distorted and faint. For those who have lingered too long, the attic feels less like an abandoned room and more like a chamber still occupied, its residents hidden from sight. Another enduring story tied to Gore Place involves a woman seen peering from the mansion's upper windows. Long after the estate has been locked for the night, caretakers and passers-by have described the figure as dressed in period clothing, her face pale and solemn, her eyes fixed on the lawn below. In some accounts, she vanishes the moment someone approaches the house, leaving behind an empty window. Others insist she lingers just long enough to send chills down the spine before fading into the darkness. No one knows who she might be, but theories abound. Some suggest she is the ghost of Rebecca Gore herself, still keeping watch over the mansion she loved. Others think she might be a servant, bound to the house by a life of toil that ended in tragedy. Inside the mansion, the sense of being watched is a common theme. Guests on tours have reported sudden drops in temperature and the prickling feeling of unseen eyes upon them. In the drawing rooms, whispers have been heard when no one else is speaking, and shadows sometimes stretch across walls in patterns that don't match the light. The grand hall, with its polished floors and stately columns, occasionally echoes with phantom footsteps. Guides who lead tours after dark often speak of hearing movement behind them, only to turn and find the corridor empty. The estate grounds are no less unsettling. On the sweeping lawns where parties and gatherings were once held, visitors at night have reported faint music drifting through the air, music that stops abruptly when one attempts to trace its source. Near the carriage house, some claim to have seen a woman walking in silence, her form blurred and faint, dissolving into mist as she disappears into the shadows. Others speak of strange lights appearing in the fields, drifting slowly as though lanterns held by invisible hands, before vanishing without a trace. Local historians have speculated on the roots of Gore Place's haunting. Christopher and Rebecca Gore themselves lived quiet but influential lives. Yet the estate saw its share of hardship. Servants lived and worked under strict conditions, their lives tied closely to the household. Illness, accidents, and sorrow touched the estate as they did any home of its era. For paranormal investigators, the mansion has become a treasure trove of unexplained phenomena. Recorders capture voices, calling names, doors that were firmly shut swing open on their own, and cold spots bloom suddenly in otherwise warm rooms. On one investigation, a team reported hearing a woman humming from an upstairs chamber. When they reached the room, it was empty, but the melody had been captured clearly on their audio equipment. Others have experienced the sharp sound of footsteps overhead when no one was on the floor above. And some have even felt the unmistakable sensation of a hand brushing against their arm, though no one stood beside them. Yet, for all its sinister atmosphere, Gore Place is not thought to be a place of violent spirits. Instead, it carries an aura of watchfulness, as though its ghosts are guardians of the past, reminding visitors of lives once lived within its walls. The woman in the window, the whispers in the attic, and the echoes of music on the lawn all suggest presences unwilling to let go of the estate they once knew. To walk its halls is to step into more than just history. It is to brush against memories that refuse to fade. Today, Gore Place remains a landmark of Massachusetts, admired for its architecture and cultural significance. Yet beneath the grandeur lies a deeper, more haunting truth. This mansion is alive with the energy of those who came before. By day, it is a treasure of history, a monument to early America, and a woman's sorrowful gaze peers from the windows. The Gore Place is as elegant as it is eerie. Its legacy, a reminder that beauty and darkness often exist side by side, woven together in ways that cannot be easily untangled. The House of the Seven Gables in Salem, Massachusetts, is one of New England's most famous and most haunted mansions. Built in 1668 by Captain John Turner, the grand darkly shingled home has stood through generations of history, witnessing centuries of life, death, and change. It has been immortalized by Nathaniel Hawthorne's novel of the same name, a work that transformed the house into a literary landmark. But beyond its architectural charm and cultural significance, the house is steeped in eerie legends and unsettling encounters. Experiences that suggest its past is very much alive within its walls. When visitors step through the heavy wooden door of the mansion, they often remark on a sudden shift in atmosphere. The air inside feels heavier, charged with an unseen presence. And many claim the sensation of being watched begins immediately. Guides and tourists alike have spoken of feeling invisible eyes following them through the corridors, a weight that grows stronger the deeper they move into the house. Some even insist the house itself seems to breathe, as though it is alive, carrying within it the souls of those who once called it home. One of the most common apparitions said to roam the House of the Seven Gables is that of a small child. Visitors have reported glimpsing the fleeting figure of a boy darting between rooms, his laughter faint but unmistakable, echoing down the wooden hallways. Some have seen him in the corner of their eye, a quick shadow vanishing the moment they turn. Others swear they have felt the brush of a child's hand against their own, only to look down and find no one there. Staff members, long accustomed to the strange energy of the house, speak of toys in the attic being moved from one side of the room to another overnight, as though the boy continues to play even after death. Another chilling phenomenon tied to the mansion is the presence of sudden cold drafts sweeping through rooms that are sealed tightly against the elements. Guests touring in the middle of summer have felt icy gusts rush past them, chilling their skin and raising goosebumps. These currents often appear in the most unlikely of places: windowless corners, locked chambers, or stairwells where no open door or broken pane could explain them. Paranormal investigators believe these icy breezes signal the movement of spirits through the house, an invisible passage of energy from one space to another. The mansion is also known for its unsettling soundscape. Whispers are heard in empty rooms, footsteps echo across the wooden floors when no one is nearby, and faint music sometimes drifts through the air. Some visitors have reported hearing a woman's voice softly humming, only to find themselves alone in a silent chamber. In the grand hall, doors creak open slowly, as though pushed by unseen hands. On more than one occasion, guests have described hearing the sound of a chair scraping across the floor above them, though the upper rooms were vacant and locked. The history of the House of the Seven Gables only deepens the mystery of its haunting. Captain John Turner built the mansion as a symbol of wealth and status, but over time, the family fortune dwindled, and the house passed through various owners. Nathaniel Hawthorne, who was connected to the family by ancestry, drew inspiration from the home's looming presence, crafting a tale of sin, guilt, and a curse that stretched across generations. While his novel was fiction, many believe it captured a truth about the house, that it is a place burdened by the weight of its past. Legends surrounding the mansion tell of tragedy and sorrow. Some say a servant once died within its walls under mysterious circumstances, and her spirit lingers still, manifesting in the faint scent of smoke or the sound of weeping. Others believe the home has long ties to Salem's history of witch trials have left a permanent imprint, attracting restless souls. Salem itself is a town where the supernatural feels woven into the fabric of everyday life. And the House of the Seven Gables stands as one of its most powerful symbols. Perhaps the most unsettling reports come from those who have spent long hours alone in the mansion after dark. Curators and caretakers describe a constant awareness of being followed, footsteps that match their own as they move through the halls. In some cases, shadows appear against the walls without any visible source, stretching long and wavering as though cast by figures just out of sight. Equipment brought in by paranormal teams has captured sudden spikes in electromagnetic activity, voices caught on recorders that say single words like leave or home, and photographs with unexplained streaks of light or translucent figures. For all its beauty and historical importance, the House of the Seven Gables carries an undeniable sense of melancholy. Some visitors leave with nothing more than admiration for its architecture, but others depart visibly shaken, unwilling to linger in its rooms for too long. Those who have encountered its spectral child, felt the sudden icy drafts, or heard phantom voices believe the house is more than a relic. It is a living entity, one that continues to bear witness to the lives, deaths, and secrets of centuries past. Today, the House of the Seven Gables is preserved as a museum, welcoming thousands of guests each year. By daylight, its charm and elegance dominate, a treasured piece of history and literature. Yet when evening falls and the house is swallowed in shadow, its darker side emerges. The walls seem to whisper, footsteps echo where none should, and the sensation of being watched lingers long after one has left. Whether haunted by the restless spirits of its former residents or by the weight of its own legend, the House of the Seven Gables remains a place where the boundary between past and present, between the living and the dead, feels thin. To step inside is to walk into a story that refuses to end, a tale of haunting that continues to unfold with every visitor who crosses its threshold. The Spencerpurse Little House in Newbury, Massachusetts, stands as one of the oldest surviving farmhouses in the United States. Its origins, tracing back to the late 1600s, while its white clapboard exterior and sprawling grounds convey the charm of colonial New England. The mansion hides a far darker legacy within its walls. Over centuries, it has been witness to lives lived, tragedies endured, and secrets that refuse to stay buried. Today, the house is not just a historical landmark, it is a place steeped in eerie tales and chilling encounters, drawing the attention of both history enthusiasts and paranormal investigators. Visitors who cross the threshold of the Spencerpurse Little House often speak of an immediate shift in atmosphere. The warm sunlight streaming through the tall windows cannot dispel the sense of something watching. Guests describe an invisible presence, a weight in the air that presses on the shoulders, as if unseen eyes are tracking each movement. Even the most skeptical are struck by a feeling that the house is far from empty. Staff members have reported similar experiences, particularly in the older sections of the building, where time seems to hang heavier, and the shadows linger longer. One of the most frequently cited manifestations is that of colonial-era figures moving about the rooms. Visitors and caretakers alike have reported seeing men and women dressed in period clothing, their appearances fleeting, often vanishing when approached. Some are glimpsed standing near doorways, while others are seen moving along the hallways as if tending to daily chores of centuries past. The most chilling encounters occur in the evenings, when the natural light fades and the mansion's historical presence seems to awaken. Several witnesses claim to have seen entire scenes play out as though they were watching echoes of past lives of family at dinner. Servants carrying trays, or a solitary figure staring silently from a window. The basement of the house, however, is where the sense of unease intensifies. It is a low-ceilinged, shadow-filled space, cold even on the warmest days. Many who venture below report hearing disembodied voices whispering unintelligible words, as if the dead are trying to communicate. Others have claimed to feel sudden touches or brushes along their arms, despite being alone. Some paranormal enthusiasts suggest the basement holds a particular concentration of residual energy, a place where past sorrows and unresolved events have left an imprint that refuses to fade. Strange sounds are another hallmark of the Spencer Purse Little house. Footsteps echo across the wooden floors when no one is present. Doors creak or slam shut without explanation, and the faint clatter of objects being moved or dropped is often heard from rooms left empty. Some visitors have described hearing soft conversations in rooms far away, or the distant sound of children playing in spaces where no children have been for generations. The creaking of floorboards, the shifting of furniture, and the occasional cold gust of air all contribute to a sense that the mansion is alive. Its history woven into every corner and corridor. Sightings are not limited to full-bodied apparitions. Shadowy figures and flickering shapes appear along hallways, often glimpsed at the edge of vision. Those who have dared to explore the property after dark report the sensation of being followed, though no one is there. Some describe feeling an overwhelming heaviness, a sudden chill, or a prickling sensation on the skin. The more sensitive, or those particularly attuned to the paranormal, claim that the house seems to respond to their emotions, amplifying fear and unease, as if feeding off the energy of the living. The history of the mansion offers clues to these eerie occurrences. Built during a period of colonial expansion, the house has seen more than 3 centuries of life. Generations of families, servants, and laborers have lived, worked, and sometimes died within its walls. Tragedy, illness, and misfortune were not uncommon in an era without modern medicine or social safety nets, and many believe that the spirits of those who passed on under difficult circumstances remain tethered to the home. The house has also been the site of fires, deaths, and unexplained disappearances, all of which may contribute to the residual hauntings reported today. Paranormal investigations have documented unusual phenomena at the Spencer Purse Little house. Recorders have picked up faint voices EVP, electronic voice phenomena, that seem to respond to questions asked aloud. Temperature readings often show sudden, unexplained drops, particularly in the basement and along the eastern wing of the house. These occurrences have cemented the mansion's reputation as one of Massachusetts' most haunted historic homes. Despite its spectral reputation, the mansion continues to operate as a historic site, welcoming tourists, school groups, and history enthusiasts. Many who visit during the day leave with only memories of colonial architecture and antique furnishings, unaware of the unseen observers in the corners or above staircases. Yet as evening falls and the crowds depart, the mansion takes on a different character. Lights flicker, shadows lengthen, and the whispers of the past seem to carry farther down the hallways. It is then that the full weight of the house's haunted legacy becomes evident, a chilling reminder that history is never truly gone. In the Spencer Purse Little house, the past and present intertwine in ways that are as fascinating as they are frightening. Colonial-era figures roam the halls, unseen hands manipulate objects, and the basement holds secrets that seem unwilling to rest. Visitors leave with more than memories of historic architecture. Many carry a lingering sense of having shared space with the unseen, a brush with a time long gone, yet still very present. The mansion is a living chronicle, where centuries of human experience, the spirits that endured them, continued to coexist, making every visit a step into history and into the unknown. Hammond Castle in Gloucester, Massachusetts, stands as a striking testament to the vision of John Hayes Hammond Jr., an inventor whose fascination with science, history, and the occult shaped every stone of the mansion. Built in the 1920s, the castle was designed to resemble a medieval fortress, complete with towering battlements, secret passageways, and grand halls filled with artifacts collected from around the world. By day, Hammond Castle draws visitors for its architectural marvels, antique collections, and sweeping views of the Atlantic Ocean. By night, however, the castle reveals a far darker side, one steeped in eerie occurrences, unexplained phenomena, and whispered tales of lingering spirits. From the moment visitors step into the Great Hall, many report a subtle shift in atmosphere, a sensation that the castle is more than just stone and wood. The polished floors reflect light during the day, yet shadows seem to twist unnaturally in the corners. Some have claimed to see figures in medieval attire wandering silently through the hall, their presence fleeting but undeniable. Guests often describe these apparitions as moving with purpose, as if attending to duties from another era, despite the absence of any historical record of such figures actually residing in the castle. Witnesses insist that the sights are real, leaving a lasting chill long after the encounter. The Tower of Hammond Castle, which dominates the structure's silhouette, has become a focal point for reports of paranormal activity. Strange flashes of light, inexplicable and unaccounted for by any electrical system, are often seen from the tower's windows, particularly at night. Visitors who climb the narrow staircases leading to the top have sometimes felt sudden drops in temperature, or the sensation of being watched from above. These experiences are often accompanied by a low hum or faint whispers, as if the castle itself is trying to communicate across the decades. Some researchers speculate that these phenomena may be linked to Hammond's interest in the occult, which he reportedly explored alongside his technological pursuits. Throughout the castle, other unexplained incidents have been documented. Doors that were securely closed during daytime tours are occasionally found open when no one is nearby. Artifacts and small objects sometimes shift inexplicably, appearing in places where they had not previously been. Footsteps echo along the stone corridors when no living person is present, and some visitors have reported hearing muffled voices speaking in languages long extinct. These occurrences have created a reputation for Hammond Castle as one of Massachusetts' most haunted historical sites, attracting paranormal investigators and thrill-seekers eager to witness the unexplained. The castle's design itself seems to encourage these spectral impressions. Hammond meticulously incorporated hidden passages, vaulted ceilings, and labyrinthine hallways that can disorient the senses. Shadows lengthen and warp unexpectedly in these spaces, and the echoing acoustics can amplify sounds in ways that are difficult to trace. Those familiar with the mansion's layout often note that it is almost impossible to navigate without occasionally turning corners where the sense of being observed intensifies. In some cases, visitors report sudden chills or a feeling of weight pressing on their shoulders, sensations that appear concentrated in the areas Hammond used for his private experiments and collections. Hammond's fascination with medieval history, combined with his interest in mysticism, is often cited as a potential source of the castle's ghostly activity. The castle's architecture draws heavily on Gothic and medieval influences, and Hammond reportedly sought to imbue the structure with a sense of historical continuity. Some believe that his collection of artifacts, including suits of armor, ancient weapons, and religious relics, may act as conduits for residual energy, amplifying the presence of spirits or leaving traces of the past in the very fabric of the building. Visitors who explore these display rooms have reported hearing distant clangs of metal, footsteps, and whispers as if the armor itself is inhabited. Not every encounter is visual. Many are sensory and psychological. Some guests describe sudden headaches, feelings of nausea, or a sense of being unable to leave certain rooms, as though an invisible force is holding them in place. Others report feeling cold hands graze their skin, hearing faint breathing nearby, or glimpsing shadows that vanish the moment they attempt to focus. Even staff members who have worked at Hammond Castle for years admit to experiences that defy explanation. From strange sounds in empty rooms to objects appearing where they were not placed. For those with a keen sensitivity to the paranormal, the castle can feel alive in ways both fascinating and terrifying. The castle's reputation is enhanced by the many stories passed down through decades of visitors. Some recount seeing ghostly figures descend the main staircase in medieval garb, only to vanish when approached. Others have heard the clatter of metal armor or footsteps pacing along upper corridors during quiet hours in the tower, where Hammond conducted his most private work. Flashes of strange light and unexplained shadows continue to unsettle those who venture near. Even those who are skeptical often leave with a lingering sense of having witnessed something beyond explanation. Hammond Castle is more than a museum or historical landmark. It is a portal into the unknown. Every visitor, from historians to casual tourists, may encounter a brush with the supernatural. Figures in period attire glide silently through halls, lights flicker without cause, and the ancient artifacts seem to hum with unseen energy. The influence of John Hayes Hammond Jr.'s eccentric mind and fascination with the mystical is evident, as though his presence, along with those of the long-past spirits, continues to permeate every corner of the castle. For those who enter Hammond Castle, the experience is as much about the invisible as it is about the tangible. It is a place where history, invention, and the unexplained converge, whether it is the glimpse of a figure in medieval clothing, a sudden chill in the tower, or the whisper of a voice long gone. The mansion offers a haunting reminder that some curiosities once awakened never truly rest. Visitors leave with more than memories of grandeur and architectural beauty. They carry with them the weight of the unseen, the thrill of the unknown, and the enduring presence of Hammond's enigmatic creation. The stone house in Gardner, Massachusetts, stands as a monument to both architectural beauty and unsettling history. Built in the 19th century, this mansion has seen generations of families come and go. But behind its stately stone walls lies a legacy steeped in tragedy. Over the decades, locals have whispered stories of mysterious disappearances, unexplained deaths, and inexplicable events that continue to haunt the mansion to this day. Visitors and paranormal investigators alike have recounted experiences that defy logic. Painting a portrait of a home where the past refuses to remain silent. The mansion's exterior is imposing, with thick stone walls, tall windows, and ornate gables that seem to watch over the surrounding landscape. By day, it exudes a dignified charm, but as twilight descends, the atmosphere shifts. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the stone facade, and the air seems heavier, as if the house itself is aware of intruders. Those who venture close often report a sense of unease, a subtle pressure on their chest, or the inexplicable feeling that unseen eyes are tracking their movements. Inside, the mansion's grand hallways are both magnificent and unnerving. Polished wood floors reflect light in ways that seem almost unnatural, and the echo of footsteps often carries when no one else is present. Guests who stay overnight frequently awaken to the sensation of being touched by unseen hands, sometimes lightly on the shoulder, other times with a cold, firm pressure that jolts them upright. The experience is unsettling but rarely violent, leaving visitors shaken and wary of the house's invisible inhabitants. The most reported apparition is that of a phantom woman in white. Witnesses describe her as ethereal, yet unmistakably human, drifting silently through the upstairs hallways. Some believe she is searching for someone she lost long ago, her longing manifesting in the restless energy that permeates the mansion. Those who encounter her often feel an overwhelming sense of sorrow and loss, as if the house itself channels her grief. Doors may creak open on their own as she passes, and lights flicker in her presence, heightening the eerie atmosphere. Strange noises are another hallmark of the stone house. Visitors have reported hearing whispers in empty rooms, faint cries echoing from behind closed doors, and the clatter of objects falling without explanation. In some cases, these sounds seem to form coherent words or phrases, though no living person can be found to account for them. Footsteps ascend and descend the grand staircase when no one is on the stairs. And the sound of dragging furniture has been reported in rooms that have been vacant for decades. These auditory phenomena create a pervasive sense of unrest, suggesting that the mansion is a repository of long-suppressed anguish. Cold spots and sudden temperature drops are also common within the stone house. Some areas of the mansion, particularly along the upstairs corridor and near the Widow's Walk, are noticeably colder than the surrounding rooms, regardless of the season. Visitors often feel a chill that seems to seep into their very bones, a physical manifestation of the house's spectral presence. Paranormal investigators equipped with thermographic cameras have documented inexplicable temperature anomalies, further corroborating the claims of those who have felt the house's invisible touch. The mansion's history is as complex as its architecture. Built in the 1800s by a prominent local family, the stone house was the scene of multiple personal tragedies, including untimely deaths, mysterious illnesses, and rumored familial disputes. Some historians suggest that these events laid the foundation for the paranormal activity that persists today. The loss and grief of past residents may have left residual energy within the stone walls, a lingering echo of lives disrupted and stories unfinished. Many visitors described a sense of being watched throughout the mansion. Whether walking through the dining hall, ascending the staircase, or exploring the upper bedrooms, there is a persistent feeling that unseen eyes are following their movements. Mirrors seem to capture fleeting reflections of figures that vanish when confronted, and photographs occasionally show unexplained shadows or wisps of light not present at the time the picture was taken. Even seasoned explorers admit that the stone house evokes a mixture of fear, fascination, and deep curiosity. While some paranormal phenomena are subtle, others are unmistakably dramatic. Doors slam without cause, lights flicker in patterns that mimic human motion, and objects ranging from small personal items to larger furnishings shift inexplicably across rooms. Witnesses have recounted seeing furniture slowly tilt, chairs scrape the floor, and doors swing open with no human assistance. These events are often accompanied by a palpable sense of tension, as if the mansion is attempting to communicate its long-held secrets. Despite the fear it inspires, the stone house continues to attract those intrigued by its mysteries. Historians, ghost hunters, and curious visitors come to experience firsthand the eerie atmosphere, hoping to catch a glimpse of the spectral woman or to feel the presence that pervades the halls. Each encounter adds to the growing tapestry of stories surrounding the mansion, cementing its reputation as one of Gardner's most haunted locations. The stone house stands as a reminder that some places carry the weight of history far beyond their walls. Its stone facade, once a symbol of prosperity and permanence, now harbors echoes of loss, grief, and unanswered questions. From the phantom woman in white to the shifting shadows and chilling whispers, the mansion continues to captivate and terrify, offering a glimpse into a world where the line between the living and the dead is faint, fragile, and forever blurred. The Payne House in Barnstable, Massachusetts, is a stately Cape Cod mansion. Its elegant architecture, standing proudly against the coastal landscape, by day, it embodies the charm of the region, with white clapboard walls, gabled roofs, and expansive windows offering sweeping views of the Atlantic. But as night falls, the house transforms into something far more unsettling. Beneath its picturesque exterior, a history of tragedy and loss seems to linger, giving rise to some of the most chilling ghost stories in Cape Cod. Built in the early 18th century by a family deeply tied to the maritime trade, the Payne House has long been associated with the sea. Generations of sailors left from its nearby docks, some never to return. The mansion became a place of waiting, hope, and despair, as families anxiously anticipated the safe return of loved ones. Over time, the cumulative grief of loss seems to have left an indelible mark on the house, manifesting in the spectral phenomena reported by visitors and residents alike. One of the most frequently reported occurrences is the rattling of windows during calm nights. Witnesses insist that there is no wind, no storm, and yet the panes shudder violently, as if responding to some invisible force. Many believe these are the restless spirits of sailors who perished at sea, attempting to signal their presence or reach out to the living. Some guests claim to hear faint knocks on the doors or soft thuds along the floorboards, mimicking the rhythm of footsteps echoing across the house long after its halls have emptied. The salty scent of the ocean, too, is a persistent and mysterious presence. Even on nights when the coastal air is calm and mild, the unmistakable temps of brine fills certain rooms. Visitors have described moments when the smell suddenly intensifies, as though a ship has just entered the harbor, yet there is no evidence of anyone nearby. Paranormal enthusiasts speculate that these sensory phenomena are residual echoes of the mansion's maritime past, a reminder that the sea's influence extends far beyond the shore. Ghostly figures are perhaps the most unnerving aspect of the Payne house's haunting. People have reported seeing shadowy silhouettes pacing along the hallways, often facing the windows that look toward the ocean. These figures appear lost in thought, staring into the distance, as though eternally awaiting the return of vessels that will never come. Some witnesses describe the apparitions as sailors in period clothing, complete with hats and coats, while others claim to see women and children, silently mourning the loved ones they lost to the unforgiving sea. The mansion's upper floors are particularly active. Guests who spend the night often awaken to the sensation of being watched, with cold spots forming inexplicably near the beds. Doors may creak open slowly on their own, and lights sometimes flicker in a rhythmic pattern, as if guided by invisible hands. These experiences are often accompanied by an overwhelming sense of melancholy, a deep and persistent sadness that seems to hang in the air, echoing the despair of generations past. Auditory phenomena add to the house's eerie reputation. Some have reported hearing the distant sound of waves crashing inside the walls, long after stepping away from the windows. Others claim to hear the faint creak of ropes and the muffled voices of sailors calling across the harbor. On occasion, these sounds are so vivid that visitors swear someone or something is walking just behind them, though the rooms remain empty. The interplay of sound, scent, and visual anomalies creates a hauntingly immersive experience, leaving witnesses both fascinated and unnerved. Local lore suggests that the Payne house serves as a nexus for maritime spirits. The mansion's proximity to the water, coupled with centuries of human emotion tied to the sea, seems to amplify paranormal activity. Many believe that the spirits linger, not out of malevolence, but because of unfinished business and a longing for closure. The house itself may act as a beacon, drawing them back to the shore, where their lives were irrevocably altered. Investigators and curious visitors have tried to document the hauntings through photographs, audio recordings, and thermal imaging. While some evidence remains inconclusive, many recordings capture anomalies, blurred figures in hallways, faint voices speaking in hushed tones, and sudden drops in temperature detected by sensitive equipment. Even skeptics often leave with an altered perspective, acknowledging that the house carries an energy that cannot be explained by logic alone. The mansion's long history is intertwined with the community. Generations of Barnstable residents have grown up hearing stories of the Payne house's restless spirits, passing down tales of sailors forever, gazing toward the horizon and the women who wait in vain for their return. Its reputation has become a point of fascination, drawing ghost hunters, historians, and the merely curious to witness the eerie phenomena for themselves. Each story adds a new layer to the house's haunted legacy, reinforcing the idea that the past refuses to remain buried. Even today, the Payne house stands as a testament to human emotion and its lingering power. Beyond the architectural elegance and scenic views, it is a place where history and the supernatural intersect. The sights, sounds, and scents that defy explanation remind visitors that some spirits never truly leave, whether it is the phantom sailors, the mourning women, or the unexplained windows rattling in the dead of night. The mansion continues to hold secrets of the sea, preserved in stone, air, and shadow. For those who approach the Payne house, the experience is unforgettable. The mansion's beauty is undeniable, but it carries a weight of sorrow and mystery. Each creak of a floorboard, each gust of salty air, each fleeting shadow serves as a reminder that the house is alive in a way few structures are. Those who enter are not merely observing history, they are stepping into a space where the boundary between the living and the dead is thin, where the stories of lost sailors and mourning families linger, waiting to be acknowledged once more. The Tillinghast Mansion, tucked away in a quiet corner of Boston, is an imposing structure that seems frozen in time. Built during the 1800s, its stately brickwork and intricate woodwork reflect the elegance and wealth of its original owners. Yet beneath this veneer of refinement lies a darker, unsettling history that has given rise to countless reports of paranormal activity. Visitors, historians, and paranormal investigators alike have long been captivated and unnerved by the mansion's spectral inhabitants. One of the most commonly reported phenomena at the Tillinghast Mansion is the sound of heavy footsteps. These footsteps are often described as pacing endlessly through the long hallways, echoing off the walls with a hollow, rhythmic cadence. Witnesses say the sounds continue even in rooms that are unoccupied, sometimes stopping abruptly and then resuming as though the unseen walker has paused to survey their surroundings. Some have claimed that the footsteps are deliberate, almost methodical, resembling the march of someone carrying out a long-finished duty, perhaps even a punishment administered decades or centuries ago. Cold drafts also seem to have a life of their own within the mansion. Guests report sudden drops in temperature in specific rooms, particularly those that are locked and seemingly inaccessible. These icy pockets appear and vanish unpredictably, chilling anyone unfortunate enough to walk through them. Some investigators speculate that these drafts are residual energy, echoes of traumatic events that left a permanent mark on the structure. Others feel the cold is more than residual, as if the mansion itself is aware of intruders and responds with a physical manifestation of its restless spirits. Perhaps the most chilling accounts involve the sound of chains dragging across the floorboards. At night, the faint but unmistakable clinking of metal can be heard, as if unseen figures are shackled and moving through the halls. Some visitors describe the sound growing louder, echoing through multiple rooms, only to stop suddenly with an abrupt, eerie silence. Locals who have lived near the mansion for decades tell stories of hearing the same sounds while walking past the estate in the dead of night, suggesting that the haunting is not merely contained within the walls but permeates the surrounding area as well. Other paranormal phenomena reported at the Tillinghast Mansion are more visual. Shadowy figures are often glimpsed in peripheral vision, disappearing whenever someone tries to look directly at them. Some describe seeing a tall, imposing figure in a long coat standing at the top of the grand staircase, only to vanish moments later. Others have reported fleeting images of a man or woman wandering the hallways, sometimes gesturing as if warning or beckoning, leaving witnesses with an unsettling feeling that they are being observed by entities with a purpose or unfinished business. Sounds of whispering are also commonly reported. Visitors frequently hear faint voices, sometimes coherent, sometimes just murmurs. Some whisper names, others seem to speak in warnings or fragments of conversations from a time long past. The whispers are often accompanied by inexplicable knocks on walls, doors, or furniture, and some report hearing the rustle of old clothing, as though someone is moving unseen nearby. These auditory phenomena contribute to the mansion's reputation as a place where the past refuses to stay silent. Many believe the mansion's dark energy is tied to its history. The Tillinghast family, while prominent and wealthy, had its share of misfortune and scandal. Records indicate that punishments for servants and workers could be harsh, and several deaths under mysterious circumstances have been documented over the years. Paranormal researchers theorize that such intense emotion and suffering left an imprint on the property, a type of psychic residue that continues to manifest in the modern era. Some paranormal enthusiasts who have spent extended time in the mansion report physical sensations beyond the cold drafts, unexplained pressure on their shoulders, fleeting touches on the arms, and sudden feelings of dizziness or unease are often reported. Many describe the mansion as having an oppressive atmosphere, particularly in the basement and lower floors, which seem to carry the heaviest weight of whatever unsettled spirits linger there. Even those skeptical of the supernatural often leave with a profound sense of discomfort. acknowledging that something unexplainable occupies the mansion. The estate has drawn the attention of urban explorers and ghost hunters for decades. Equipment such as thermal cameras, EVP recorders, and infrared sensors have captured unusual activity, from temperature anomalies to unexplained shadows and faint voices. In many cases, recordings reveal sounds that are not audible to the human ear at the time, adding to the mystery. Those who have conducted investigations consistently report that the mansion's energy feels aware of their presence, reacting in subtle and sometimes startling ways. Despite, or perhaps because of its sinister reputation, the Tillinghast Mansion remains a site of fascination. Its combination of historical significance, architectural beauty, and chilling paranormal activity creates an atmosphere unlike any other. The mansion stands as a reminder that the past is never truly gone, that the lives, sorrows, and mysteries of those who came before can continue to influence the present. Visitors are often left with the undeniable impression that the mansion is alive in a spectral sense. Every creak of the floorboards, every cold draft, and every mysterious sound serves as a reminder that the Tillinghast Mansion is more than just a building. It is a repository of memory, sorrow, and perhaps unfinished business. Those who step inside may come seeking history or architecture, but they leave having encountered something far more profound, an echo of lives long past, still moving, still watching, still whispering through the corridors of this haunted Boston estate. The Nickerson Mansion in Brewster, Massachusetts, was once the epitome of grandeur and luxury. Built during the late 19th century as a summer retreat for the wealthy Nickerson family, the mansion was filled with ornate woodwork, sprawling halls, and expansive windows that offered sweeping views of Cape Cod's serene landscapes. Its elegant ballrooms and stately rooms reflected the opulence of a bygone era, a place where lavish gatherings and summer entertained the region's elite. Yet, beneath the veneer of refinement lies a history steeped in mystery and sorrow. A history that has left an indelible mark on the estate's atmosphere. Guests at the resort adjoining the mansion have long whispered about the unusual occurrences that take place after nightfall. Many recount waking in the early hours to the sensation of being watched, only to find shadowy figures standing silently at the foot of their beds or hovering near doorways. These apparitions often vanish the moment they are confronted, leaving nothing behind but an overwhelming sense of unease. Some visitors describe the shadows as human-like, dark outlines that are difficult to define, their presence more felt than seen. Others report more fleeting glimpses, caught from the corner of the eye, disappearing whenever attention is fully directed toward them. The mansion itself seems to respond to human activity in subtle but chilling ways. Doors in the older wings are said to open and close on their own, sometimes with enough force to rattle the surrounding walls. Footsteps echo along the grand hallways, though no one is present. Some guests have claimed to hear faint whispers, unintelligible at first, but growing clearer as the night deepens, often sounding like fragments of conversation from long ago. These auditory disturbances are particularly pronounced in the East Wing, where the family once kept private chambers and personal quarters, suggesting that residual energy from past occupants may linger. Staff members at the adjacent resort often share stories of inexplicable phenomena that go beyond ordinary occurrences. Housekeepers report finding furniture slightly moved, sometimes in a pattern suggesting deliberate placement. Lights flicker in rooms that are otherwise unused, and sudden drops in temperature are common, particularly near the mansion's oldest sections. Some have experienced the unnerving sensation of a presence brushing past them in the hallways, cold fingers grazing an arm or shoulder with no apparent source. The combination of tactile and auditory experiences contributes to the mansion's reputation as a place that defies rational explanation. History provides glimpses into why the Nickerson Mansion may be haunted. The estate was home to multiple generations of the Nickerson family, and records indicate several tragic events occurred within its walls. Illness, untimely deaths, and personal misfortunes afflicted those who resided there. And local lore suggests that some of these events left lingering emotional imprints, Paranormal researchers often point to the intensity of such emotions, grief, anger, or despairs, a plausible cause for the persistent activity reported today. Whether the shadows are echoes of these past inhabitants or something else entirely remains a question, but their effect on visitors is undeniable. The mansion's sprawling architecture itself seems to amplify its eerie qualities. Long corridors, ornate staircases, and high-ceilinged rooms create acoustics that carry whispers and footsteps unnaturally far. Dark corners and hidden alcoves provide the perfect environment for shadows to appear and vanish without explanation. In some areas, the air feels heavier, charged with an almost tangible energy, making even brief visits uncomfortable for those sensitive to the paranormal. Explorers often note that certain rooms feel off, as if the presence of unseen occupants is concentrated in particular spaces, drawing attention with cold drafts or sudden noises. Paranormal investigators who have spent extended time at the Nickerson Mansion report experiences that go beyond the typical. Some claim to have captured EVP recordings with faint voices responding to questions or murmuring names. Thermal imaging sometimes reveals cold spots moving through rooms, and occasional glimpses of figures have been caught on cameras. While skeptics may attribute these occurrences to old architecture or overactive imaginations, the consistency and detail of the reports leave many convinced that something more profound is at work. Despite its haunted reputation, the Nickerson Mansion continues to attract visitors and history enthusiasts. Its elegant design, rich historical background, and scenic location make it a desirable destination. Yet the knowledge of its spectral inhabitants adds a layer of tension and intrigue. Guests often find themselves drawn to the mansion during the day, only to retreat cautiously as dusk settles, aware that the shadows they have heard about may be most active in the quiet of the night. Some locals believe that the mansion's spirits are not malevolent, but simply lingering, unable or unwilling to leave the place they once called home. Others caution that the energies are unpredictable, manifesting in ways that can be unsettling or even frightening. Visitors are advised to respect the mansion's history, move quietly through its hallways, and be prepared for experiences that defy explanation. In the end, the Nickerson Mansion remains a site where history and the supernatural intersect. Its grand halls and ornate rooms, once filled with laughter and elegance, are now tinged with the weight of unseen presences. Shadows drift silently, cold drafts snake through corridors, and whispers echo from the past, all testifying to a history that refuses to remain buried. Those who step into the mansion may come seeking architecture, history, or a glimpse of Cape Cod's heritage, but they leave having encountered something far more mysterious, an enduring presence that watches, waits, and whispers from the shadows. The Williams Mansion in Taunton, Massachusetts, stands as a grand relic of a bygone era, its stately architecture a testament to wealth and prominence. Built during the 1800s, the mansion boasts wide wooden floors, high ceilings, and intricate woodwork that once spoke of refinement and elegance. Yet behind its impressive facade, whispers of tragedy and lingering spirits have long haunted the property, giving it a reputation that is both chilling and compelling. Over the decades, locals and visitors alike have recounted experiences that suggest the mansion is far from empty, and that the echoes of its past residents continue to roam its halls. Central to the mansion's eerie reputation is the story of a child who is said to have died tragically within its walls. The details of his death are lost to time, buried in fragments of old newspaper clippings and whispered tales passed down through generations. What remains vivid, however, is the presence he is believed to have left behind. Guests report hearing the unmistakable sound of a ball bouncing across the wooden floors of rooms that appear completely vacant. The rhythmic patter of the ball seems almost alive, moving from room to room, and often stops abruptly, as though the child is watching whoever enters. The sound is both familiar and unnerving, a ghostly echo of playtime suspended in eternity. At night, the mansion takes on an even more sinister air. Visitors have described faint giggles drifting through hallways and across rooms, the laughter playful, yet tinged with an unsettling quality. It is not uncommon for these sounds to appear in the middle of the night, when the mansion is otherwise silent. Some report that the giggles seem to come from behind closed doors or just beyond the edge of vision, disappearing the moment one attempts to locate the source. The combination of auditory phenomena, the bouncing ball, soft footsteps, and laughter creates a sense of presence so tangible that many feel watched or followed as they move through the mansion. Rooms within the mansion often hold their own peculiar activity. Furniture appears slightly displaced from its original position, and personal items may be found, moved, or turned inexplicably. Visitors have recounted feeling cold spots along the wooden floors, sudden chills that sweep through the corridors without warning. These temperature fluctuations are often localized, creating a sensation that a presence is passing by. In some areas, mirrors seem to reflect movement that does not match the room, shadows flickering across walls and doorways, and patterns that suggest a figure darting just beyond sight. The mansion itself seems to respond to human movement, amplifying the sense that it is alive with memories. Memories anchored to the tragic child, and perhaps others who lived and died within its walls. Staff and caretakers of the property have their own stories to tell. Housekeepers report hearing tiny footsteps racing across the floors when no one else is present, or catching glimpses of small, fleeting shadows near staircases and archways. Some have felt the sensation of being lightly tapped on the shoulder, only to turn and find nothing there. These experiences are reported consistently across different periods of the mansion's occupancy, suggesting that the phenomena are persistent, not simply the product of imagination or isolated incidents. Paranormal investigators who have explored the mansion have noted that EVP, electronic voice phenomena, recordings sometimes capture faint laughter, whispers, and the soft thump of a ball bouncing, lending credibility to eyewitness accounts. The mansion's atmosphere is particularly oppressive in the areas associated with the child's life. Bedrooms, playrooms, and long hallways connecting the family's living quarters seem to be the epicenter of activity. Visitors often feel a weight in the air, a tension that presses in around them, as though unseen eyes are observing every move. While the child's presence is often described as playful, there is an unmistakable undertone of sorrow, a lingering imprint of tragedy that makes even the most benign experiences tinged with unease. This duality, playful yet mournful, is central to the mansion's haunting character, creating a complex and persistent aura that intrigues as much as it frightens. Local lore suggests that the mansion's haunting may not be limited to the child. The Williams family's history includes periods of hardship and misfortune, with records of illness, sudden deaths, and strained family dynamics. It is plausible that the emotional weight of these events, combined with the child's tragic story, has left lasting echoes that manifest as paranormal activity. Some theorists believe that buildings themselves can act as vessels for emotional energy. And in the Williams mansion, every creaking floorboard and flickering shadow may be the product of residual energy layered over decades of human experience. Despite the chilling accounts, the mansion continues to draw visitors, historians, and paranormal enthusiasts alike. Its rich architectural features and deep historical significance make it a place of fascination, while its ghostly activity adds a thrilling edge for those seeking encounters with the unknown. Guests are advised to approach the mansion with respect, to move quietly through the halls, and to remain open to experiences that defy explanation. Many leave with more than photographs and memories. They carry with them a sense of having brushed against the unseen, having walked in the presence of a spirit that refuses to be ignored. Ultimately, the Williams Mansion stands as a haunting reminder of the past, a structure where the lines between life and afterlife blur. The laughter of a lost child, the rhythmic bounce of an invisible ball, and the whispers that drift through empty corridors create an atmosphere of suspense and unease, yet also of fascination. Each visitor who enters its grand doors becomes part of the mansion's ongoing story, an unwitting participant in a legacy of tragedy and lingering presence. Those who step inside do so with the understanding that they are entering a place where history, memory, and the supernatural intertwine a mansion alive with echoes of what was and what may never rest. The Trask House in Manchester by the Sea stands as a grand testament to 19th century elegance. Its stately architecture and sweeping verandas, once the pride of the prominent Trask family. Built during a period of prosperity, the mansion's walls were filled with laughter, music, and gatherings that marked it as a hub of social activity. Over time, however, the family's fortunes changed, and the house passed through periods of vacancy and neglect. Today, while the exterior retains its architectural charm, the interior is said to be alive with a far more enigmatic presence, one that draws the curious and the brave into its shadowed halls. Visitors to the Trask House often speak first of the sense of being watched. The feeling is pervasive throughout the mansion, from the long hallways to the ornate parlors, and even the grand staircase that curves elegantly to the upper floors. Guests report cold drafts brushing past them despite closed windows, and a subtle pressure in the air that suggests unseen eyes tracking every movement. These sensations are not fleeting. Many who enter feel the mansion's gaze lingering long after they have moved from room to room. The most frequent accounts center on ghostly figures dressed in 19th century attire, moving about the mansion as if the world outside has no meaning. Visitors have described seeing ladies in long, flowing dresses gliding across the polished floors of the ballroom, and gentlemen in waistcoats and top hats standing silently by windows, their expressions unreadable. These apparitions appear and vanish without warning, sometimes reflected in mirrors or glimpsed from the corner of the eye, only to be gone when looked at directly. The effect is disorienting, giving the impression that the house is replaying fragments of its past for those willing to notice. Music is another recurring phenomenon. Late at night, faint piano notes are heard drifting through the hallways, though no instrument is being played. The sound is delicate yet unmistakable, echoing through the main parlor and sometimes the upper chambers. Guests have reported that the melody is reminiscent of dances and gatherings from the house's heyday, conjuring images of candlelight flickering on the walls and guests swirling across the polished floors. Paranormal investigators speculate that these sounds are residual energy, the echoes of countless social events now trapped in the very structure of the building. Some visitors have recounted entire scenes unfolding before them. A gathering in the dining room, the soft clink of silverware, hushed conversations, and the rustle of period clothing. Others have witnessed shadowy figures on the staircase, as though a party from decades ago continues to exist parallel to the present. The sense of nostalgia is interwoven with unease, leaving guests both enchanted and disturbed, as if they are intruding on a world that should remain separate from theirs. Rooms that were once living spaces for the Trask family often hold the strongest activity. Furniture may be found slightly displaced, as if someone recently used it, and doors can creak open or closed without explanation. Some guests report faint whispers that cannot be attributed to wind or settling wood, and cold spots appear and vanish in a pattern that defies logic. These subtle disturbances create an environment in which the mansion itself seems aware of the living presence moving within it, responding in ways both playful and unsettling. Staff and caretakers have their own experiences to recount. Housekeepers working late have spoken of seeing curtains sway without breeze, or glimpsing a figure standing at the edge of the hallway before disappearing. Maintenance workers have reported hearing footsteps echoing through empty rooms, as well as the faint scent of perfume or tobacco, reminiscent of the mansion's past inhabitants. Even security personnel admit to moments of unease when patrolling the property alone, often choosing to finish their duties quickly rather than linger in areas with the most reported activity. Paranormal investigators have explored the Trask house with a variety of equipment, capturing evidence that supports eyewitness accounts. EVP recordings sometimes pick up faint piano notes, whispers, and the murmur of conversation. Thermal cameras reveal sudden cold patches moving along hallways, and motion sensors have triggered without any apparent cause. These findings lend credibility to the numerous reports and reinforce the belief that the house harbors lingering spirits tied to its rich history. Local lore suggests that the Trask family themselves may never have truly left. Their gatherings, once lavish and frequent, may have imprinted a permanent echo on the mansion. A residual haunting that continues to play out for those sensitive enough to notice. Guests often leave the mansion with a sense of having glimpsed a different era. A world where the Trask family's presence still lingers, bound by memory and perhaps something more intangible. Ultimately, the Trask house stands as both a monument to historical elegance and a repository of mystery. Its grand rooms and sweeping staircases hold more than architectural beauty. They shelter stories of joy, loss, and the persistence of presence. The ghostly figures in period attire, the mysterious piano melodies, and the subtle disturbances that defy explanation all contribute to an atmosphere that is both enchanting and unsettling. Visitors are advised to tread carefully, to observe with open eyes and a quiet mind, for the mansion is alive with memories, and some nights the Trask family may still be gathering, awaiting guests who can sense their world just beyond the veil of time. The Claflin Richards house in Salem stands as a stark reminder of the town's dark and complex history. Built in the 1690s, this colonial-era mansion has witnessed centuries of human activity. From the everyday lives of its occupants to the tumultuous events that have left their mark upon the structure. Over the years, the house has become more than a historical landmark. It has earned a reputation as one of Salem's most haunted locations, drawing visitors, historians, and paranormal enthusiasts eager to experience the strange phenomena reported within its walls. Upon entering the Claflin Richards house, visitors often report an immediate shift in the atmosphere. The air feels heavy, as if saturated with the lingering energy of centuries past. Some describe a sudden chill that grips them upon stepping across the threshold, a cold that seeps into the bones rather than merely brushing the skin. This oppressive feeling intensifies as one moves deeper into the mansion, particularly along the narrow hallways where centuries-old wooden floors creak underfoot. These sounds often seem disproportionate, echoing as though footsteps from the past are accompanying each visitor, mimicking or sometimes preceding their own movements. The most common reports involve shadowy figures seen moving along the corridors and peering from corners. Some visitors have described silhouettes dressed in colonial clothing, their shapes fleeting yet unmistakably human. They appear for only a moment before vanishing, leaving a lingering sense of having been watched. Witnesses often feel a cold hand brush theirs as they reach for door handles or ascend the narrow staircases, a touch that is icy and sudden, yet without any visible source. These interactions are not violent, but they are deeply unsettling, as if the spirits are acknowledging the presence of the living while remaining tethered to their own time. Voices are another frequent element of the haunting. Soft chanting or murmured speech is reported in several areas of the house, often in rooms that stand empty. Some describe the sound as distant, almost imperceptible, while others experience it with startling clarity. The tone of these voices varies, sometimes low and mournful, at other times eerily ritualistic, as though echoing ceremonies or practices from centuries ago. Guests have recounted standing in silence only to hear whispers directly behind them, turning to find no one there, the sound lingering in the empty space like a spectral imprint. Certain rooms within the Claflin Richards house seem to act as focal points for these supernatural occurrences. The main parlor, with its high ceilings and aged furniture, is often the site of cold spots, sudden drafts, and the occasional feeling of being pressed upon by invisible hands. Guests report that furniture may be subtly displaced, as though recently used by unseen occupants. Candles flicker inexplicably, and mirrors sometimes reflect images that are not present in the room, showing shadowed figures or fleeting glimpses of faces frozen in expressions of solemnity or distress. The mansion's historical context further intensifies the sense of unease. Salem's notorious past, particularly the witch trials of the late 17th century, casts a long shadow over the house. Some researchers speculate that the energy within the walls may be tied to the fear, hysteria, and tragic deaths that occurred in the region during that period. Visitors occasionally report sensations of being restrained or pinned, sensations that echo the cruel punishments inflicted upon those accused of witchcraft. Even though the Claflin Richards house was not directly a site of executions, these feelings are intense enough to leave a lasting impression. often causing visitors to move through the house with heightened awareness and caution. Paranormal investigators have frequently explored the property, using equipment such as EMF detectors, infrared cameras, and audio recorders. Some have captured unexplained temperature fluctuations, while others report visual anomalies on camera, including shadow figures and faint orbs of light that do not correspond to any external source. Audio recordings have occasionally captured voices or whispers when no one else is present, lending credence to the accounts provided by visitors. These experiences have contributed to the house's reputation as one of Salem's most active and unsettling haunted locations. Local lore and legend enhance the mansion's enigmatic presence. Stories suggest that the spirits within the Claflin Richards house are tied not only to the original occupants, but also to the many events and tragedies that occurred in Salem over the centuries. Guests sometimes feel a temporal overlap, as though past and present coexists within the house, allowing fleeting glimpses of moments long gone, familial gatherings, whispered secrets, or even ceremonial activities that may never have been meant to linger. This blending of eras adds a layer of historical intrigue to the paranormal phenomena, creating an experience that is both educational and deeply unnerving. Visitors to the Claflin Richards house are often advised to approach the mansion with respect and caution. While the activity is rarely aggressive, the sense of presence is undeniable. Those who enter may feel eyes upon them, hands brushing their skin, and whispers curling around their ears, all evidence of the house's enduring link to its storied past. The combination of historical significance and persistent hauntings makes this mansion not only a monument to colonial architecture, but also a repository of spectral memory. In conclusion, the Claflin Richards house is a place where history and the supernatural intersect. Its shadowed corridors, chilly rooms, and haunted past provide a compelling backdrop for encounters that defy explanation. From ghostly figures in colonial attire to soft, ritualistic chanting and icy, unseen touches, the mansion exerts a chilling presence over all who enter. Each visitor leaves with the sense that they have witnessed a world layered over their own, a place where the living brush against the echoes of the dead. The house continues to stand as a testament to Salem's complex history, a structure alive with stories that are as haunting as they are unforgettable, inviting those brave enough to experience its mysteries firsthand. The Derby House in Salem, constructed in 1762, stands as a striking reminder of colonial prosperity, with its stately architecture and elegant interiors. Yet beneath its refined exterior lies a history shadowed by sorrow, tragedy, and lingering spirits. While the mansion was once a symbol of wealth and social prominence, today it has become a site for whispered tales of the supernatural, drawing ghost hunters, curious visitors, and historians alike, all eager to uncover the mysteries hidden within its walls. Upon entering the Derby House, one is immediately struck by the atmosphere. The air seems heavy, thick with an almost tangible presence that seems to weigh on the shoulders of visitors. Cold spots appear unpredictably, often along hallways or near doorways, leaving those walking through with shivers that have no apparent cause. The sudden drops in temperature are accompanied by subtle sounds, the faint creaking of floorboards as if someone unseen is pacing, the soft rustle of curtains or the whisper of voices, so quiet they could easily be dismissed, but not by those who have experienced them repeatedly. The most frequently reported apparition is that of Elias Derby, the mansion's original owner. Known for his ambitious business dealings and considerable wealth, Elias is said to be a man burdened even in death. Guests and staff alike have described seeing a tall, shadowy figure, often dressed in colonial attire, moving silently through the hallways. Some claim he pauses by the study or the parlor, his presence palpable yet silent, as if revisiting the rooms where he once conducted his affairs. At times, his ghost seems restless, lingering near objects of wealth, ornate furniture, gilded mirrors, and intricately carved desks, perhaps still tethered to the material prosperity he accumulated in life. Whispers are another hallmark of the Derby House haunting. Visitors report hearing conversations that seem to come from the walls themselves, murmured arguments or quiet lamentations that fade when one attempts to locate the source. Some describe these voices as being in Ilias's tone, firm and precise, while others are softer, almost sorrowful, as though carrying the regrets and anxieties of generations long gone. In certain rooms, the whispers grow more insistent at night, curling around the corners of the mansion in ways that defy the logic of empty spaces. Several rooms within the house appear to act as epicenters for paranormal activity. The parlor, once a hub of social life, is particularly active. Guests have noted sudden chills while sitting near the fireplace, as though someone unseen is standing beside them. Occasionally, small objects, papers, decorative items, or candle holders seem to move of their own accord, subtly rearranged as though a ghostly hand has brushed them aside. Visitors report that light fixtures flicker without explanation. Shadows stretch unnaturally along walls, and the faintest hint of footsteps echoes from the upper floors. The mansion's history adds depth to the haunting. Elias Derby was a man driven by ambition, yet historical accounts suggest that personal hardships and the pressures of wealth weighed heavily upon him. Many believe that this combination of prosperity and burden has left his spirit unable to rest. The mansion itself becomes a repository of memory, capturing both the triumphs and sorrows of its original inhabitant, creating an environment where past and present overlap. It is as though the mansion is alive with the energy of those who walked its halls centuries ago, replaying their routines, arguments, and regrets for any sensitive observer to witness. Paranormal investigators have explored the Derby house extensively, bringing with them cameras, audio equipment, and other devices intended to capture evidence of supernatural activity. Many report anomalies, unexplained drops in temperature, faint voices on recordings, and visual distortions resembling shadowed figures. Some claim to have felt invisible touches on their shoulders or backs while moving through empty rooms. And a recurring theme is the sense of being observed by a presence that remains just out of sight. For some, these experiences are unsettling but not malevolent, while others leave the house feeling the weight of history pressing in, an oppressive reminder of unresolved stories and lingering spirits. Local lore enhances the mansion's enigmatic presence. Tales abound of hidden treasures, secret passageways, and lost letters that were never delivered, all adding layers to the mystery. Some visitors swear they have glimpsed objects shifting slightly, as though Elias or another spirit were examining them. Others describe the sensation of being followed, hearing a shadowy footstep echo just after their own, only to find the corridor empty. These accounts contribute to the Derby House's reputation as one of Salem's most compelling and chilling haunted locations, where history, wealth, and supernatural presence converge. Guests are often advised to explore the Derby House with respect and caution. While the spirits appear primarily non-violent, their presence is undeniable, manifesting as cold drafts, whispered voices, and fleeting shadows. Each visitor experiences a different facet of the mansion's haunting, a combination of historical resonance and spectral energy that leaves an indelible impression. The Derby House is not merely a building, it is a living chronicle of the past, where the line between life and death seems blurred, and the burdens of wealth and history have taken on an ethereal, enduring form. In conclusion, the Derby House in Salem is a place where prosperity meets sorrow, and history intertwines with the supernatural. Its grand architecture and rich furnishings are accompanied by cold spots, whispered voices, and shadowy apparitions, with the spirit of Elias Derby himself often appearing to roam the halls. Visitors feel the weight of centuries pressing upon them, the intangible presence of past lives, and the restless energy of a mansion that refuses to be silent. Those brave enough to step through its doors leave with stories of sights, sounds, and sensations that defy explanation, ensuring that the legend of the Derby House remains alive in the imagination of all who encounter it. The Lyman Estate, often referred to as the Vale, stands as one of Waltham's most elegant and historically rich properties. Built in the late 18th century, it was once a hub of social gatherings, music, and refinement. Today, however, The grand halls and sprawling gardens hold more than just memories of the past. They harbor whispers of the supernatural, drawing visitors, ghost hunters, and curious locals into a world where the echoes of history refuse to rest. From the moment one approaches the estate, an unusual energy permeates the air. Even on warm summer days, a sudden chill seems to settle over the grounds, particularly near the main house. Visitors describe feeling watched, an invisible presence observing their every step, as though the estate itself remembers the lives that once flourished within its walls. The manicured gardens, while beautiful, sometimes seem almost too quiet, with shadows moving in the corners of vision, vanishing when directly looked at. This sense of being followed or observed is the first hint that the Lyman estate is more than just a historic home. It is a repository of restless energy. Inside the mansion, the haunting becomes more pronounced. The large drawing rooms, once filled with laughter and music, now echo with ghostly melodies that drift through the halls in the dead of night. Visitors have reported hearing the faint strains of a piano, even when no instrument is present, or the delicate plucking of strings from an unseen violin. These sounds are not random. They follow a rhythm reminiscent of a past performance, as if invisible musicians are rehearsing for an audience that no longer exists. Some who linger near the source of the music claim to feel a gentle brush of air, as though a phantom performer has moved past them, invisible yet tangible. The estate's upper windows hold their own spectral stories. Guests often glimpse figures in period dress, standing silently and gazing outward as if observing the grounds below. These apparitions, usually in 18th century gowns or formal attire, appear for only a few seconds before vanishing. Some say these figures are former residents or staff, forever tied to the daily rhythms of life at the estate. The sight of a silent observer in an upstairs window is enough to unsettle even the most skeptical visitor. As the feeling of being watched merges with the estate's cold drafts and shifting shadows, curtains and other objects within the mansion also exhibit inexplicable movement. Curtains sway as though stirred by an unseen breeze, doors creak open or close without explanation, and furniture seems subtly rearranged after no one has entered a room. Paranormal investigators report that these occurrences are particularly common in rooms once used for music and gatherings, suggesting that the estate's energetic imprints are strongest in the spaces where life and emotion were most concentrated. Some explorers even claim to feel phantom touches, soft brushes on the hand or shoulder that vanish when they turn to look. The mansion's history adds weight to the haunting. The Lyman family hosted numerous events, from intimate musical evenings to lavish parties, and the estate was a center of social life in Waltham. Yet along with the splendor came personal tragedies and untimely deaths, events that may have left lingering imprints. Several accounts describe hearing soft crying or whispers in rooms that were once nurseries or private chambers, as though the sorrows of the past remain embedded in the very walls of the home. The combination of joy and grief, celebration and loss, has created an atmosphere thick with unresolved emotion, making the estate a fertile ground for paranormal activity. Visitors report that the intensity of these experiences varies depending on the time of day and season. Late afternoons, when shadows stretch across the hallways, and moonlit nights, when the estate is silent and still, seem to enhance the feeling of otherworldly presence. The faint music, moving curtains, and spectral figures all become more vivid, creating an immersive experience that blurs the line between the living and the dead. For those sensitive to such energies, the mansion is both enchanting and unsettling, a place where beauty and fear coexist. Paranormal investigators who have explored the Lyman estate bring back stories of recording anomalies, EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, capturing faint voices singing or speaking in hushed tones, unexplained temperature drops in certain rooms, and occasional visual distortions on video. Some claim that these experiences are the echoes of former residents replaying familiar routines, their spirits unable to leave the mansion's walls. Others suggest that the estate itself has absorbed centuries of emotional energy, creating a living memory that interacts with anyone who enters. Despite the unsettling experiences, the Lyman estate retains its charm and allure. Guests are encouraged to explore respectfully, observing both the history and the phenomena that linger. Many leave with a mixture of awe and unease, having glimpsed something that defies explanation, whether it is the ghostly music drifting from an unseen instrument, the fleeting figure in a window, or the feeling of being touched by the past. The estate remains a bridge between centuries, a space where life, death, and memory intertwine. In conclusion, the Lyman Estate in Waltham is a place where history and the supernatural coexist in a delicate, haunting balance. Once filled with music, laughter, and social gatherings, its halls now resonate with ghostly melodies, moving curtains, and shadowy figures observing silently from upper windows. Visitors experience the palpable weight of the past, the whispers of those who walked the rooms before them, and the lingering presence of spirits tied to the estate's history. For anyone entering the Lyman Estate, it is clear that this historic mansion is more than just a beautiful home. It is a living, breathing testament to centuries of life, emotion, and the restless echoes that continue to roam its grand halls. The Parsonage House in Concord, Massachusetts, stands as a silent witness to centuries of American history. Built during the colonial era, this mansion was more than a home. It was a hub of activity, a place where families lived, and, during the Revolutionary War, a strategic location touched by the tremors of conflict. Today, visitors and locals alike report that the Parsonage House has not fully left its past behind. Strange phenomena, ghostly apparitions, and inexplicable sounds make it one of the most haunted sites in the area, a place where the echoes of war continue to ripple through its walls and grounds. The first sign of the mansion's haunting is often the night sky above. Witnesses claim to see sudden flashes of light hovering in the air, brief yet intense, as if signaling some otherworldly presence. These lights do not resemble modern devices or lanterns. They appear and vanish with no source, creating an aura of mystery that sets the stage for the deeper hauntings within. On nights when these lights appear, the sense of tension around the house is palpable, and even the most skeptical observers report an uneasy feeling, as though unseen eyes are watching their every move. Inside the Parsonage House, the ghostly echoes of the Revolutionary War are said to manifest in vivid ways. Some visitors have reported seeing figures dressed in 18th-century military attire, standing silently in formation or patrolling the perimeter. These phantom soldiers often appear at dusk or late at night, their faces indistinct yet commanding attention. They do not interact directly with the living, yet their presence is undeniable, creating a chilling sense that the house is caught in a perpetual state of vigilance. It is as though the soldiers, bound by duty even beyond death, continue to guard the property against threats long gone. The sounds within the mansion reinforce its haunted reputation. Guests have described the faint crack of musket fire echoing through empty rooms or across the grounds, seemingly originating from nowhere. The sound is not loud, but it carries a sharp, startling quality, as if the battle were playing out just beyond sight. At times, these reports are accompanied by the clatter of boots on wooden floors, the soft murmur of commands, and the distant cries of soldiers, creating an immersive and unnerving experience for anyone inside. Many who have explored the mansion claim to feel the atmosphere shift when these sounds occur. A sudden drop in temperature or a subtle pressure in the chest, as though the spirit's energy has momentarily filled the space. The house itself seems to act as a vessel for these residual energies. Doors swing open and closed without human intervention. Objects are moved or toppled with no explanation, and shadows flit across walls, vanishing when confronted. Some have reported glimpsing figures in the corners of their vision, only to turn and find the rooms empty. The hallways, once lined with portraits of the family and visitors, seem to stretch endlessly at night, the ambient creaks of the floorboards mimicking the footfalls of the long-departed soldiers. Paranormal investigators have noted consistent cold spots in areas linked historically to wartime planning and strategy, suggesting that the house itself holds the memory of those moments. Stories from those who have spent extended time in the mansion often describe an emotional weight that is hard to explain. A deep sense of tension, vigilance, and sorrow hangs in the air, especially near rooms that once served as meeting spaces or armories. Some claim that the spirits replay fragments of their last living moments, preparing for battle, giving orders, or mourning fallen comrades, creating an overlapping tapestry of past and present. It is this unresolved energy that many believe accounts for the strange phenomena reported by visitors, from sudden chills to inexplicable sounds and visual apparitions. Local legends add to the mansion's chilling aura. According to stories passed down through generations, the parsonage house was a focal point during skirmishes, with soldiers taking cover on its grounds and in its rooms. Families living in the house reportedly witnessed these battles firsthand, often providing aid to the wounded and burying the dead on or near the property. The heavy emotional imprint of these traumatic events is said to have left an indelible mark, anchoring spirits to the location. Modern reports of ghostly activity, phantom soldiers, fleeting gunfire, and strange lights are seen by many as the lingering imprint of that era, a history that refuses to fade. The haunting is not limited to sight and sound. Many visitors report a sense of being watched or followed as they move through the rooms and grounds. Some have felt a sudden touch, a cold brush of air across the skin, or the sensation of standing near someone invisible. These experiences are often reported near windows or doorways, as though the spirits maintain a presence at key vantage points, continuing their eternal vigilance. Others have mentioned dreams of the mansion and its soldiers, vivid visions in which they participate in the events of the past, only to awaken to the reality of the empty rooms around them. Despite its eerie reputation, the parsonage house attracts historians, paranormal enthusiasts, and curious visitors alike. It stands as both a testament to America's revolutionary past and a reminder that the echoes of history are not always silent. The mansion's combination of historical significance, well-documented events, and persistent ghostly phenomena make it a unique and haunting destination, where the line between the living and the spectral past is remarkably thin. In conclusion, the parsonage house in Concord is more than just a colonial mansion. It is a living relic of the Revolutionary War, haunted by the soldiers who once defended its grounds and the energy of the conflicts that unfolded nearby. Strange flashes of light, phantom soldiers in formation, distant gunfire, and the subtle, oppressive feeling of being watched all contribute to its reputation as one of Massachusetts' most haunted homes. Visitors and explorers alike leave with the undeniable sense that, within these walls, history and the supernatural are intertwined, and that the spirits of the past continue their eternal watch over the parsonage house. The White Tellery House in Gloucester, Massachusetts, is a relic of early colonial life. Its wooden beams and weathered exterior holding more than 3 centuries of history. Built in the early 1700s, the mansion has been home to generations of the Ellery family and has witnessed the ebb and flow of life in colonial New England. Yet, despite its age and historical significance, it is the house's darker side that draws attention today. Locals and visitors alike report a range of paranormal experiences, suggesting that the spirits of its past residents have never fully departed. The White Tellery House has become a focal point for those fascinated by haunted history, with stories of chilling voices, spectral figures, and unexplainable activity circulating for decades. Many who enter the house describe an immediate sense of unease. The air feels heavier, colder, and charged with an energy that is difficult to define. Even during warm summer days, sudden cold spots appear in certain rooms and hallways, as if the house itself is breathing in the past. Visitors have recounted that these inexplicable temperature drops are often accompanied by an intense feeling of being watched, the sensation that unseen eyes are following them from the shadows. This oppressive atmosphere sets the stage for the more tangible hauntings that occur inside the mansion. One of the most commonly reported phenomena is the appearance of ghostly faces in darkened corners. These are not fleeting shapes, or the result of poor lighting. Witnesses insist that they see eyes staring back at them, pale faces fading into the darkness as soon as they attempt to approach. Sometimes, These apparitions appear along the staircases, peering down silently at those who wander the house. The effect is unnerving, as if the past is asserting itself, refusing to be ignored, and ensuring that the history of the White Tellery house is never forgotten. The most chilling auditory phenomenon in the house is the sound of a woman sobbing. Visitors often hear it echoing through the wooden halls late at night, long after any living occupant has retired. The sobs are mournful, full of grief, and sometimes accompanied by soft footsteps or the dragging of something heavy across the floor. Some historians suggest that the sound could be linked to tragic events in the Ellery family's history. Though no definitive records exist, paranormal investigators often note that the cries seem to move with the listener, fading when one approaches and reappearing elsewhere. A classic sign of residual energy imprinting itself upon the structure. In addition to auditory and visual experiences, the White Tellery house has a long history of objects behaving inexplicably. Doors are known to open and close without explanation, and some visitors have reported furniture shifting slightly, as if nudged by unseen hands. Windows occasionally rattle or creak in the absence of wind, and small items such as candles or trinkets have been found displaced after being carefully arranged. These minor disturbances, while subtle, contribute to the sense that the house is alive in a way that goes beyond mere architecture. Paranormal enthusiasts who explore the mansion often report encounters that combine multiple phenomena. One visitor described walking down a hallway when a cold gust of air swept past, followed by the faint sound of sobbing. Moments later, a shadow moved across the wall, and a pale face appeared at the top of the staircase, disappearing when approached. Experiences like these are frequently corroborated by others, lending credibility to the idea that the house hosts active, residual energy from its past occupants. The history of the White Tellery house provides context for these hauntings. Built at a time when life was harsh and death was ever present, the house has seen births, marriages, and losses that left indelible marks on its structure. Colonial era illnesses, accidents, and personal tragedies could explain why certain spirits might linger, tethered to the home by unfinished business or emotional trauma. Unlike many modern hauntings, the activity here is deeply rooted in the early history of Gloucester, making the house a living museum of both architecture and supernatural lore. Visitors are advised to proceed with caution. While the White Tellery house is open for tours and historical exploration, those who enter often report leaving with a lingering sense of tension. Some describe the experience as exhilarating, a chance to connect with history in a way textbooks cannot convey, while others find it genuinely frightening. The combination of visual, auditory, and physical phenomena creates an immersive environment where the boundaries between the living and the dead feel blurred. For historians, paranormal investigators, and casual visitors alike, the White Tellery house represents a unique intersection of past and present. It is a testament to the endurance of history, both in its physical form and in the residual energies left behind by those who once lived within its walls. Every squeak of the floorboards, every sudden chill, and every shadow seen in the corner of an eye is a reminder that the house has stories. Yet to tell stories that are not always pleasant, and sometimes deeply unsettling. In conclusion, the White Tellery house in Gloucester stands as a symbol of colonial history intertwined with supernatural mystery. Its long, dark corridors, sudden chills, and unexplained noises continue to captivate those who seek encounters with the unknown. The sobbing of a woman, the faces peering from shadowed corners, and the movement of objects without explanation all contribute to the mansion's reputation as one of Massachusetts' most haunted houses. Visitors leave with more than an understanding of architectural history. They depart with the undeniable sense that within these walls, the past is alive, and the spirits of long-gone residents remain. Watching, mourning, and wandering the halls of the White Tellery house, the Codman estate, commonly known as the Grange, is an impressive symbol of Lincoln's Gilded Age history. Built in the 19th century, its sprawling grounds and elegant architecture speak to the wealth and refinement of the Codman family, whose influence in Massachusetts society was significant. Yet behind the grandeur lies a shadowed past, a tapestry of tragedy, loss, and lingering spirits that continues to intrigue visitors and paranormal enthusiasts alike. Over the years, the estate has garnered a reputation as one of the most haunted locations in the region, with stories of ghostly apparitions, unexplained cold drafts, and mysterious activity filling the halls of this historic mansion. Upon entering the Codman estate, many visitors immediately sense a change in the atmosphere. The air feels heavier, almost thick, as though the walls themselves are saturated with memories of the past. Despite the mansion's meticulous preservation, certain areas seem impervious to warmth or sunlight. Guests often report sudden, inexplicable cold drafts in hallways or rooms that are sealed off entirely. These chilling pockets of air often come with an accompanying sense of being watched, a sensation that lingers long after one has left the premises. It is this eerie ambience that first alerts visitors to the estate's spectral presence. Among the most frequently reported phenomena at the Codman estate are ghostly apparitions. Some visitors claim to see members of the Codman family, dressed in period attire, sitting silently in the parlor or strolling through the hallways. These figures often appear in moments when the estate is otherwise empty, vanishing instantly when approached. Guests have described seeing a young woman adjusting the curtains in the drawing room or a gentleman reading silently in the library. Each sighting conveys an air of quiet dignity, as though the spirits are carrying out the routines of their former lives, unwilling or unable to leave their cherished home. The parlor and library are considered hotbeds of paranormal activity. Doors are known to open and close on their own, seemingly guided by invisible hands. Footsteps echo across the wooden floors even when no one is present, and guests have recounted the sound of faint whispers or murmured conversations. Some describe the sensation of a presence brushing past them as they explore the rooms, while others feel as if unseen eyes are following their every move. These experiences are often coupled with the peculiar shifting of objects. Candlesticks, books, or small decorative items occasionally appear in different positions from where they were left, suggesting that the mansion's previous residents continue to interact with their surroundings. The estate's history provides a context for the reported hauntings. While the Codman family was known for their elegance and social prominence, their lives were not without sorrow. Early deaths, family illnesses, and the inevitable hardships of the era left emotional scars that some believe may have imprinted themselves upon the estate. The tragic losses endured by the family, combined with their enduring attachment to the home, are often cited by paranormal experts as reasons why their spirits might linger. Unlike a fleeting haunting, the presence at the Codman estate seems persistent and deliberate, a quiet reminder of lives once fully lived within its walls. Guests have also reported more subtle manifestations of the supernatural. The estate is filled with moments that hint at something unseen. Curtains sway in rooms with closed windows. Lamps flicker inexplicably, and doors that were locked moments earlier are suddenly found ajar. Some explorers have noted the sensation of cold fingers grazing their shoulders or the faint impression of someone walking alongside them in the dimly lit hallways. These small but persistent signs create an environment where the boundaries between the living and the dead feel thin and uncertain. One particularly intriguing aspect of the Codman estate's hauntings is the sense of temporal overlap. Visitors frequently describe seeing scenes from the past unfold before their eyes, as if the mansion itself is replaying memories. A woman might be glimpsed arranging the tea set exactly as it was done in the 1800s. Or a group of figures may silently move across the ballroom floor, dressed for an event that occurred long ago. These experiences, while fleeting, provide a haunting window into the lives of the Codman family, blurring the lines between history and the supernatural. Paranormal investigators have been drawn to the estate for decades, attempting to document these phenomena. Audio recordings often capture unexplained voices or electronic voice phenomena, EVP, while thermal cameras detect sudden cold spots that have no logical explanation. Witnesses sometimes report a rush of cold air or the feeling of a presence before any visual sighting occurs, though skeptics may attribute these experiences to imagination or the house's old structure. The consistency and intensity of reports over the years lend credence to the idea that the Codman Estate is a site of genuine supernatural activity. Visiting the Codman Estate is, for many, an unforgettable experience. It is not merely a historic house to admire for its architectural beauty, but a place where the past feels palpable and alive. Every creak of a floorboard, every whisper in the parlor, and every unexplained chill contributes to the impression that the spirits of the Codman family remain watching over their home. The mansion's elegance is inextricably linked with its darker side, offering a glimpse into both the history of a prominent family and the haunting remnants of their lives. In conclusion, the Codman Estate, or the Grange, is a mansion steeped in history, elegance, and lingering tragedy. Its grand rooms and meticulous preservation mask a presence that is far from dormant. Guests and paranormal enthusiasts alike report cold drafts in sealed-off areas, doors opening mysteriously, and the ghostly sighting of family members carrying out their old routines. The whispered voices, sudden chills, and spectral apparitions all point to an estate where the past is not content to remain buried. Visitors leave with more than an appreciation for its architecture. They depart with the unsettling awareness that within the walls of the Codman Estate, history lives on, and the spirits of the Codman family continue to roam the halls, eternally intertwined with their home. The Pierce Hickborn House, a stately Georgian mansion located in Boston, stands as a remarkable testament to 18th-century architecture, yet it harbors a history far darker than its elegant facade suggests. Built in the late 1700s, the mansion has witnessed generations of families, societal changes, and countless private stories, while its architectural details attract historians and tourists alike. It is the eerie, unexplained phenomena reported over the years that have cemented the house's reputation as one of Boston's most haunted locations. Visitors and paranormal investigators have long shared tales of heavy footsteps echoing through hallways, mysterious banging and rattling of doors, and the persistent sensation of unseen eyes tracking their movements. The mansion is not merely a building of bricks and timber. It is a space where the echoes of the past seem to linger, refusing to remain silent. From the moment one steps inside the Pierce Hickborn house, there is a subtle shift in the atmosphere. The grand entryway, with its polished wooden floors and intricate moldings, appears inviting in daylight. However, those who stay late or explore during off hours often speak of an oppressive feeling, a weight that seems to settle over the rooms and hallways. It is as though the mansion itself is aware of intruders, pressing against their presence in the quietest, most insidious ways. Cold drafts appear unexpectedly, sweeping through corridors even when windows are sealed tightly, and an uneasy silence is broken only by faint noises, creaks, knocks, and whispers that seem to originate from nowhere. The most common phenomena reported in the Pierce Hickborn house are auditory in nature. Heavy footsteps echo through empty hallways, sometimes approaching slowly, sometimes retreating just as mysteriously. Visitors often pause, expecting to see a caretaker or a fellow guest, only to find the space entirely vacant. Doors and cabinets rattle without explanation, producing startling bangs that reverberate through the rooms. In some accounts, these noises seem to follow a pattern, almost as if someone or something is deliberately trying to communicate or capture attention. Paranormal investigators equipped with recording devices have occasionally picked up faint, unintelligible voices or knocks that do not correspond to any physical activity, suggesting that the mansion's spirits are far from dormant. Several individuals have described an overwhelming sensation of being followed within the house. While the mansion is open and the rooms visible, many feel an invisible presence pacing alongside them, remaining just out of sight. Sometimes, a visitor will turn quickly, convinced someone is there, only to find the space empty. This consistent feeling of observation, coupled with sudden temperature drops and fleeting shadows, adds to the psychological weight of exploring the Pierce Hickborn house. Guests often report their hair standing on end or a shiver running down their spine when no logical explanation is present. The house's rich history may help explain the intensity of these encounters. Over centuries, the Pierce Hickborn house has been home to numerous families, each leaving behind emotional imprints, from the ordinary stresses of family life to tragic losses and periods of societal upheaval. The mansion has absorbed the stories of those who lived and died within its walls. Some paranormal experts suggest that the residual energy from these intense moments manifests as the haunting phenomena reported today. In this way, the house becomes more than a structure. It is a repository of memory and emotion, where the past refuses to remain buried. Visual apparitions have also been reported sporadically. Shadowy figures have been glimpsed moving along the upper staircases or disappearing into corners. Guests have occasionally described seeing a tall, indistinct shape standing silently in a doorway, only to vanish when approached. Some claim to observe fleeting images of individuals dressed in period attire, performing ordinary domestic tasks as if still fulfilling their roles from centuries ago. These ghostly manifestations, while rare, contribute to the mansion's enduring allure and its reputation as a location where the veil between past and present is thin. Small, subtle phenomena further enhance the house's spectral reputation. Visitors have felt invisible touches, a hand brushing against an arm, or a cold breath on the back of the neck, without any physical source. Items sometimes shift slightly from their original placement, suggesting unseen interaction. Even the ambient environment behaves strangely. Drafts carry distant murmurs. Floorboards creak under unseen weight, and lights or reflections flicker inexplicably. These seemingly minor occurrences coalesce into a pervasive sense of unease, creating an immersive, almost tangible experience of the supernatural. Despite these unsettling reports, the Pierce Hickborn house remains a place of fascination for historians, tourists, and paranormal enthusiasts. Its well-preserved architecture and storied past draw individuals eager to explore Boston's colonial legacy, while the eerie activity adds an element of thrill and mystery. Night tours and private explorations allow guests to experience the mansion after hours, offering the rare opportunity to encounter the inexplicable firsthand. Those who do often leave with more than photographs or historical knowledge. They depart with a lingering awareness that the house holds secrets that may never be fully uncovered. In conclusion, the Pierce Hickborn house stands as a remarkable example of Georgian architecture, but its significance extends far beyond aesthetics. The mansion is a site where history and the supernatural intertwine, creating an atmosphere thick with lingering presence. Reports of heavy footsteps, unexplained banging, sudden cold drafts, and shadowy apparitions point to an enduring connection to the past. Visitors frequently feel as though they are being watched or followed, and the subtle movements of objects suggest that the mansion's former inhabitants continue to roam their old home. The Pierce Hickborn house is not merely a relic of Boston's colonial era. It is a living repository of memory and emotion, where the spirits of the past remain active, silently witnessing each new generation that enters its halls. The Winslow Crocker House in Yarmouth Port is a stately colonial mansion that exudes historical charm by day and eerie intrigue by night. Built in the mid-1700s, this home has seen centuries of life pass through its halls, from generations of the Winslow and Crocker families to modern-day visitors drawn by its architectural elegance and well-preserved antiques. Yet, beneath the beauty of polished wood floors and finely crafted furnishings, lies a history marked by mystery and restless spirits. Those who enter the house often find themselves caught between admiration for its historical significance and a creeping sense that the mansion itself is alive, observing, and unwilling to remain silent. Many guests have reported experiences that defy explanation. One of the most common accounts involves objects moving on their own. Antique chairs are occasionally found shifted from their original positions. Delicate porcelain cups tremble or fall from tables without provocation. And even heavy furniture has been rumored to rock slightly, as if nudged by an unseen hand. These disturbances are subtle but unnerving, often leaving visitors questioning whether they simply misplaced items, or whether something more sinister lingers in the shadows. The house, it seems, is protective of its history, unwelcoming of modern interference that threatens to disrupt its carefully preserved atmosphere. Mirrors in the Winslow Crocker house have a particularly haunting reputation. Several visitors have reported glimpsing figures in reflections that vanish the instant they turn their heads. Sometimes, the mirrors capture fleeting shapes in period attire silhouettes of women in long dresses or men in colonial coats, moving silently behind the observer. In other instances, the glass shows only empty rooms, yet a cold, unnatural presence is felt immediately after the reflection. These phantom images are not easily explained, and many guests leave with the unsettling feeling that the house watches them just as they watch it. Temperature anomalies add another layer to the mansion's eerie ambience. Cold drafts sweep through locked rooms without explanation, rushing past guests and sending shivers down their spines. These sudden chills often occur near areas steeped in history, hallways lined with portraits of past family members, rooms once used for formal gatherings, or corners where servants may have lived and worked centuries ago. Some paranormal investigators suggest that these pockets of cold air could be residual energy, manifestations of the emotions and memories accumulated over hundreds of years. Others simply describe them as the house's way of reminding intruders that it is a place of both history and haunting. Auditory phenomena have been reported throughout the Winslow Crocker house as well. Guests sometimes hear soft footsteps echoing across polished floors when no one else is present. Whispered voices drift through corridors, carrying faint murmurs that cannot be deciphered, as if the mansion itself holds secrets too painful or profound to be fully understood. Occasionally, the subtle creak of a door or the distant slam of a shutter will startle visitors, reinforcing the sense that they are not alone. Each sound, no matter how minor, contributes to the growing impression that the house is a living repository of its own history, filled with echoes of lives that never truly left. Visual sightings are less common but no less disturbing. Some witnesses claim to have glimpsed the forms of former inhabitants moving quietly through the rooms, their figures blurred and almost translucent. Women in colonial gowns appear near fireplaces, adjusting objects or folding linens, while men in period clothing walk the hallways as if continuing routines from long ago. These apparitions do not interact directly with visitors, yet their presence is unmistakable, lending weight to the notion that the Winslow Crocker house is more than a structure. It is a vessel where time and memory converge, creating a space where the past intrudes upon the present. The mansion's extensive collection of antique furniture and historical artifacts seems to play a role in the haunting. Guests and staff have noted that certain items, particularly those tied to significant family events or daily routines, tend to move more frequently or seem to draw paranormal attention. Some believe that these objects serve as anchors for spirits, physical conduits, through which the energy of former inhabitants remains tethered. When these items are disturbed or approached by modern visitors, the spirits react, manifesting as cold spots, movement, or other phenomena designed to reassert their presence and maintain the mansion's historical integrity. Despite the unsettling activity, the Winslow Crocker house continues to attract visitors eager to experience its unique blend of history and haunting. Night tours and private explorations offer opportunities to witness the mansion after hours, where the subtle and not-so-subtle manifestations of the past become more pronounced. Many leave with stories of cold touches, moving objects, and fleeting shadows, recounting experiences that defy rational explanation. While the house preserves the architectural and cultural legacy of its owners, it also preserves a living memory of the lives and spirits that once called it home. In conclusion, the Winslow Crocker house stands as a remarkable example of colonial craftsmanship, yet it is much more than a museum piece. The mansion is a living testament to centuries of human presence, where the past manifests in tangible, often unsettling ways. From objects that move without explanation to mirrors reflecting figures unseen by the naked eye, from sudden cold drafts to phantom footsteps, the house asserts itself as a space where history and the supernatural intertwine. Visitors often feel watched, touched by invisible hands, or caught in the gaze of spirits determined to remain part of their former home. The Winslow Crocker House is not just a window into colonial life. It is a place where the echoes of the past continue to roam freely, challenging anyone who enters to acknowledge that some histories are too vivid, too powerful, and too restless ever to fade away. The Otis House in Boston, an elegant federal-style mansion designed by the famed architect Charles Bulfinch, is a living testament to early American refinement. Its perfectly balanced symmetry, delicate moldings, and meticulously restored interiors showcased the grandeur of Boston society in the late 18th century. Yet beneath the polished floors and gleaming furniture, the house carries an invisible, weight-ton accumulation of history, memory, and, as many believe, lingering spirits. Visitors and staff alike report experiences that suggest the past refuses to remain silent, and that the Otis House holds more than mere architectural significance. It is a vessel of restless presence. Among the most common phenomena reported are unexplained footsteps echoing across rooms long emptied of occupants. Guests walking through the drawing rooms or along the polished wooden hallways often hear the unmistakable tap-tap of shoes on the floorboards, even when no one else is present. Sometimes, the sound is faint, almost imperceptible, like the quiet tread of a visitor from centuries past. Other times, the footsteps are deliberate and heavy, as if someone is pacing, measuring, and remembering each step they once took in life. The origin of these sounds has never been identified, but their consistency has led many to accept that they are tied to the house's original inhabitants. Another frequently recounted occurrence is the appearance of ghostly figures, particularly a woman seen gliding down the grand staircase. She is often described as wearing a flowing gown, her form slightly translucent, yet unmistakably human. Witnesses note a profound feeling of melancholy when the apparition is present, a heavy weight in the air that seems to carry the sorrow and regrets of long-departed lives. Some have suggested that she may be one of the Otis family, lingering in the house to tend to unfinished business or to protect the home she once knew intimately. Her movements are graceful yet purposeful, her presence commanding attention without a word, leaving observers both awed and unsettled. The atmosphere within the Otis House is frequently described as dense and heavy, particularly in rooms with a history of significant events. Visitors often remark on the sensation of being watched, a subtle pressure that seems to follow them from one room to another. Doors that were closed moments before may swing open on their own, and chairs occasionally rock gently without any visible cause. These occurrences are subtle but unmistakable, creating an environment where history feels alive, intruding into the present in ways that cannot be ignored. Temperature fluctuations are another hallmark of the mansion's haunted reputation. Cold spots form abruptly in certain areas, often near the grand staircase, the drawing rooms, or the study. These chills are so sudden and intense that visitors frequently shiver despite warm indoor conditions. Paranormal investigators suggest that these cold patches are residual energy, lingering traces of the emotional and physical experiences that once unfolded in these spaces. Some speculate that sorrow, grief, and anxiety are easier for spirits to imprint on the environment than other emotions, explaining why the house often feels oppressively heavy rather than cheerful. Auditory phenomena extend beyond footsteps. Guests have reported whispers in empty rooms, often indistinct but emotionally charged. Murmurs of conversation, fragments of sentences, and occasional sighs carry through the mansion, always hinting at the lives that once animated its halls. Some visitors have claimed to hear laughter that turns abruptly into sobs, a duality of emotion that underscores the complexity of the mansion's history. It is as if the house itself has absorbed the experiences of those who lived within it, replaying them for those sensitive enough to notice. Objects, too, seem to respond to unseen forces. Visitors have reported light furniture shifting slightly, doors creaking when untouched, and small items, books, keys, or decorative objects moving inexplicably. These subtle movements suggest that the Otis House is more than a collection of rooms and artifacts. It is a living memory, capable of interacting with the world in small, tangible ways. Some historians theorize that objects with deep personal significance to the original occupants may serve as anchors for lingering spirits, creating focal points for activity that continues into the modern era. Despite, or perhaps because of its paranormal activity, the Otis House continues to captivate the public. Guided tours allow visitors to explore the mansion's history, architecture, and stories of the Otis family. But many leave with accounts that go beyond historical knowledge. Reports of cold hands brushing past, shadows gliding across walls, and the inexplicable feeling of not being alone are common. These experiences lend the house an aura of mystery, ensuring that it remains a destination not only for history enthusiasts, but also for those drawn to the supernatural. The enduring presence of spirits at the Otis House highlights the intersection of human history and the supernatural. The mansion is not merely a static relic. It is a dynamic repository of memory and emotion. Footsteps in empty rooms, ghostly apparitions, cold drafts, whispers, and moving objects all contribute to the sense that the past has never truly departed. The mansion's architecture, carefully preserved interiors, and historical significance provide the perfect stage for these occurrences, reinforcing the idea that beauty and haunting can coexist in a single, extraordinary space. In conclusion, the Otis House in Boston is a remarkable historical gem, but it is much more than that. Its grand rooms and elegant design conceal layers of human experience, both joyful and tragic. Ghostly footsteps, apparitions of women gliding down the staircase, heavy atmospheres, cold spots, whispered conversations, and objects moving of their own accord all suggest that the mansion's history remains vividly alive. Visitors are drawn not only to its architectural splendor, but also to its restless past, leaving with an awareness that some stories, some memories, and some spirits never truly fade. The Otis House stands as a testament to the enduring power of history, memory, and the supernatural, where each shadow, each whisper, and each chill serves as a reminder that the house remembers everything, and so do the spirits that call it home. The Emerson House in Concord, Massachusetts, stands as a silent witness to centuries of literary genius, philosophical exploration, and quiet contemplation. Home to Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of America's most influential transcendentalists. The house has long been celebrated for its historical significance and its connection to the intellectual and literary ferment of 19th century New England. Yet beneath its refined exterior, polished floors, and elegant furnishings lies a layer of lingering unease, an invisible weight that many visitors and scholars have described in unsettling detail. The mansion is not merely a relic of the past. It is a place where memory, emotion, and spirit converge, leaving those who enter with a sense that history is never truly still. Perhaps the most commonly reported phenomenon at the Emerson House is the sound of phantom writing. In the study, where Emerson himself composed essays and poetry that would go on to define a generation, visitors have described hearing the unmistakable scratching of a quill or pen on paper, even when the room is entirely empty. Some say the sound is gentle and measured, like someone carefully crafting thoughts onto a blank page, while others report a more urgent, almost frantic tapping, as if unfinished work or ideas demand attention across the decades. The persistence of this auditory phenomenon has led many to believe that Emerson's presence continues to linger, bound to the study where his creativity once flowed most freely. In addition to these spectral sounds, ghostly whispers have been reported throughout the mansion. These whispers often carry fragments of poetry or philosophical musings, fleeting yet poignant, drifting along hallways and through closed doors. Witnesses describe a chilling clarity to the whispers, as if Emerson, or perhaps a host of other voices connected to the house's storied past, speaks directly to the listener, carrying both wisdom and melancholy. Some visitors report feeling an inexplicable pull toward certain bookshelves or desks, compelled to explore volumes and manuscripts that may have been familiar to the great thinker himself. The combination of sound, suggestion, and presence creates an atmosphere where literature and spirit intertwine. The house itself seems to amplify these experiences. Certain rooms carry a heavy, almost tangible energy, as though the walls have absorbed the thoughts, emotions, and quiet meditations of those who once dwelled there. Visitors often report a feeling of being watched, not in a menacing way, but as if the house itself remembers and acknowledges their presence. Cold spots appear unexpectedly, particularly in corners of the study or near windows that overlook Emerson's beloved gardens. These chills are sudden and intense, leaving guests shivering even on warm days. Paranormal enthusiasts suggest that these temperature fluctuations are residual energy, echoes of profound emotional or intellectual activity embedded in the structure itself. Footsteps in empty rooms are another frequent occurrence. Some describe the slow, deliberate pacing of someone moving through the study or hallway, steps echoing across hardwood floors where no one walks. Others have experienced the sensation of movement just behind them, only to turn and find nothing there. The combination of auditory and physical sensations contributes to a pervasive sense that the Emerson house is more than a static monument to the past. It is a living, breathing repository of memory and presence, where the boundary between life and the afterlife is tenuous. Objects within the house occasionally appear to respond to unseen forces. Visitors have reported quills tipping slightly, as if used by an invisible hand, books shifting on shelves, or papers fluttering on desks without explanation. Some scholars theorize that these objects may act as anchors for lingering spirits, particularly those bound to creativity, thought, and expression. The idea that the tools of Emerson's work, his pens, papers, and books might continue to host fragments of his consciousness adds a compelling, almost sacred dimension to the house's hauntings. It is as if the act of creation itself imprinted a part of the soul onto the physical environment. Many who explore the Emerson house speak of an emotional resonance that accompanies the paranormal phenomena. The whispers, footsteps, and writing sounds are often accompanied by a profound sense of melancholy, reflection, and inspiration. Guests frequently leave with a feeling that they have glimpsed something beyond the ordinary, a connection to the intellectual and spiritual life that once flourished within these walls. Some report that their own thoughts and writings are influenced by the experience, as if the lingering presence of Emerson and his contemporaries subtly encourages contemplation, introspection, or creativity. The Emerson house has also become a destination for those interested in the paranormal, attracting ghost hunters, historians, and curious travelers alike. Investigators, using audio recording devices, infrared cameras, and other equipment, often capture unexplained sounds and images, adding layers of intrigue to the already rich historical context. While skeptics may attribute these occurrences to imagination or natural causes, the consistency of reports over decades suggests that the mansion harbors an enduring mystery, one that cannot be easily explained or dismissed. In conclusion, the Emerson House in Concord is far more than a preserved historic home. It is a site where history, intellect, and the supernatural converge. The persistent sounds of phantom writing, ghostly whispers of poetry, footsteps in empty halls, and subtle shifts in objects create an atmosphere that is both enchanting and unsettling. Visitors often report a profound sense of being watched, touched, or guided by the spirits that linger, particularly those of Emerson himself. Bound to the spaces where he composed some of America's most enduring literary and philosophical works, the house is alive with memory, emotion, and spectral presence, reminding all who enter that genius, creativity, and the human spirit leave impressions that extend beyond the physical life. The Emerson House is a testament to the enduring power of thought, the haunting resonance of history, and the idea that some souls never truly leave, continuing to inspire and unsettle long after their time on Earth has ended. The Longfellow House, in Cambridge, Massachusetts, stands as a remarkable intersection of history, literature, and the lingering presence of the past. Best known as the home of the celebrated poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, it also served as George Washington's headquarters during the Revolutionary War. This dual heritage has imbued the house with a uniquely layered energy, a blend of patriotic fervor, historical weight, and poetic inspiration. Yet those who spend time within its walls often report experiences that cannot be explained by history books alone. Many claim the house is not merely a museum of memory, but a living vessel for the spirits that shaped its storied past. Visitors often begin their experience with the awe inspired by the house's rich history. Its elegant rooms, period furnishings, and well-preserved architecture tell the story of both the Revolutionary War and the 19th century literary era. But the quiet charm of the house is frequently punctuated by strange occurrences. Some guests have reported sudden drops in temperature in certain rooms, as if the air itself carries the weight of centuries. Others describe a sensation of being watched, a subtle awareness that unseen eyes track their movements through hallways and chambers. These are not fleeting feelings. Many assert they linger long after leaving the house, like echoes of events that remain unresolved. One of the most commonly reported phenomena involves the presence of Revolutionary War soldiers. Apparitions dressed in 18th century uniforms have been seen standing in corners or along corridors, appearing as if frozen in time. Some witnesses describe the figures pacing slowly, while others claim they vanish when approached. These spectral soldiers are said to carry the weight of the war into the present, silently observing the house they once occupied and the descendants of a nation still grappling with its foundational history. Their presence is often accompanied by a sense of solemnity, as if the house itself honors the sacrifices made within its walls. Longfellow's own spirit is also said to linger, particularly in the rooms where he wrote poetry and entertained friends. Guests have reported hearing faint whispers of verses, soft and elusive, brushing against their ears like a gentle breeze. Sometimes the lines are complete, drawn from Longfellow's published works. Other times, they are fragmented, as if the poet is working through thoughts that remain unfinished even after death. The sound is rarely loud or disruptive. Instead, it carries a haunting intimacy, as though the poet wishes only to share a fleeting moment of inspiration with those who pass through his home. Some visitors even report being compelled to write or reflect while in the house, feeling the invisible hand of creativity guiding their thoughts. Footsteps are another persistent feature of the haunting. They echo through the hallways, often in sync with no one visibly present. Occasionally, guests ascribe a pattern to the pacing, as if a soldier patrols the corridors while Longfellow moves from study to parlor. Their separate presences intertwined yet distinct. At times, the sounds seem to rise in urgency, tapping against the wooden floors with a ghostly insistence, only to fade abruptly, leaving a profound silence that feels charged with energy. Objects in the house have also been observed moving independently, including quills, papers, and small furnishings, adding a tangible element to the ethereal activity. The emotional resonance of the Longfellow house contributes to its haunting character. Visitors often speak of a deep melancholy intertwined with inspiration, a sensation of standing in a place where human endeavor, both martial and artistic, left permanent marks. Cold drafts sweep through rooms with no apparent source, and some guests report brief visual apparitions of people long gone, visible only at the edge of vision. These fleeting glimpses, combined with the whispers of poetry and the presence of soldiers, create an atmosphere that is both unsettling and profoundly moving, reminding all who enter of the fragile and enduring nature of human life and creativity. Paranormal investigators and enthusiasts have long been drawn to the Longfellow house. Using audio recording devices, infrared cameras, and other investigative tools, they have captured anomalies ranging from unexplained sounds to transient shadows. While skeptics may argue that the phenomena result from old architecture, acoustics, or imagination, the consistency of reports over decades suggests a more complex reality. The house, steeped in the layers of history it has witnessed, seems to act as a repository for experiences and emotions that have yet to dissipate, a place where the past continues to assert its presence. Some guests recount particularly vivid encounters, such as hearing the sound of a quill scratching across paper in the poet's study, while simultaneously sensing the soft clatter of boots on the stairs above, as if a soldier patrols the corridors. Others have glimpsed a figure at the window, standing tall in a revolutionary uniform, before fading into the darkness. These experiences create a unique interplay between the martial and the artistic, highlighting the house's dual legacy as both a site of strategic importance and literary brilliance. The overlapping energies of war and poetry leave an indelible impression, as though the very walls of the Longfellow house are attuned to the spirits who once inhabited them. Visitors often leave with a sense of reverence and awe, combined with an undercurrent of unease. The house is beautiful, historic, and culturally significant, yet it is also a place where time feels suspended, where echoes of both war and creative endeavor persist. The haunting phenomena, whether auditory, visual, or emotional, reinforce the idea that some places retain the imprint of human life long after those lives have ended. In the Longfellow house, poetry and history intertwine with the supernatural, creating an environment that is both inspiring and unnerving. In conclusion, the Longfellow house is a monument not only to American literature and revolutionary history, but also to the unseen presences that linger in spaces steeped in human experience. Apparitions of soldiers, whispers of poetry, cold spots, phantom footsteps, and moving objects all contribute to an atmosphere thick with history and mystery. Guests frequently report feelings of inspiration tempered by unease, a sensation that the past is alive and observing. Whether it is the restless spirits of revolutionary soldiers or the lingering consciousness of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow himself, the mansion is a testament to the enduring power of memory, the weight of history, and the way in which the past can continue to reach across centuries, touching those who dare to enter its halls. The Shirley Eustace House, nestled in Roxbury, Massachusetts, stands as a remarkable example of Georgian architecture. Its stately columns and balanced symmetry, a testament to the craftsmanship of the 1740s. Over nearly 3 centuries, this mansion has witnessed revolution, war, and the steady passage of time. Yet despite its beauty and historical significance, the house harbors a darker, unseen side. For those who enter its doors, the past is not confined to history books. It is a living presence, a shadowy echo that lingers in the corridors and across the grounds. Visitors to the Shirley Eustace House often speak first of the heavy atmosphere. Even on bright sunlit days, the air inside seems charged, as though the mansion itself remembers every footstep, every whispered conversation, every secret that once filled its rooms. Some report feeling a subtle pressure on their shoulders, an intangible weight that grows more pronounced as they move through the hallways. Many leave with the sensation that the house is observing them, watching with an awareness that transcends the physical. One of the most commonly reported phenomena involves the sounds of soldiers long gone. Phantom boots are said to strike against the wooden floors, echoing through the mansion with a rhythm that cannot be explained by any visitor. These sounds are sometimes accompanied by faint murmurs, the indistinct voices of men engaged in conversation centuries ago. Guests describe the noises as both distant and immediate, as if the soldier's presence overlaps with the present moment, bridging the gap between past and now. Some have even claimed to see shadowy figures pacing the grounds, standing at attention for a fleeting moment before dissolving into the landscape. The spirits appear most vividly near the mansion's entrance and along the central hall, places where soldiers may have once trod during the Revolutionary era. Beyond the echoes of war, the Shirley Eustace House exhibits a range of paranormal activity that confounds both visitors and investigators. Cold spots manifest suddenly, sometimes following a path through the house that seems deliberate, as though the spirits are guiding observers from room to room. Doors open and close without explanation, and the faintest touch of movement is felt along corridors that appear otherwise empty. Objects, particularly small items like books or papers, have been observed to shift on their own, occasionally falling to the floor as if pushed by an invisible hand. For those unaccustomed to such occurrences, these experiences can provoke both fear and fascination, leaving a lasting impression of the mansion's unique energy. Witnesses often report a distinct presence that is neither threatening nor benign, but heavy with the weight of history itself. There is a sense of continuity, a bridge between the lives once lived within the walls and the visitors who tread cautiously over the same floors. Some claim to hear whispers of commands or instructions, faint echoes of military routines that have persisted for centuries. Others have glimpsed fleeting shapes, indistinct outlines of men in uniform, disappearing before they can be fully seen. The interplay between sound, shadow, and sensation creates a deeply immersive experience, one that draws the mansion's visitors into its layered past. The mansion's architecture contributes to the haunting atmosphere. The high ceilings, wide halls, and expansive rooms create natural acoustics, allowing even the slightest sounds to reverberate and carry across space. Combined with the history embedded in every floorboard and panel, the effect can be unnerving. Many paranormal enthusiasts and historians believe that the house's very structure acts as a vessel for memory, amplifying residual energy from events that occurred long before modern eyes ever looked upon it. It is this convergence of history and energy that gives the Shirley Eustace House its reputation as one of the most haunted locations in Massachusetts. The exterior grounds also play a significant role in the mansion's eerie reputation. Visitors walking the gardens and pathways have reported seeing figures in colonial dress moving among the trees or standing at the edges of the lawns. At night, the silhouettes of these figures can appear stark against the moonlit landscape, often vanishing when approached. Some witnesses describe a feeling of being followed, not in a menacing way, but as though the past itself moves alongside them, a constant companion that cannot be shaken. The combination of the mansion's interior and exterior experiences creates a holistic sense of the supernatural that lingers long after a visit has ended. Paranormal investigators who have studied the Shirley Eustace House often cite a consistency in the reports, suggesting that the phenomena are not isolated incidents or figments of imagination. Recordings of unexplained sounds, infrared footage capturing movement in empty rooms, and temperature anomalies all point to a persistent presence that defies conventional explanation. While skeptics argue that old houses creak and groan naturally, the specificity and frequency of these reports, coupled with the historical resonance of the site, make the mansion a compelling location for those interested in the paranormal. Despite the unsettling occurrences, many who visit the Shirley Eustace House describe their experiences as humbling rather than terrifying. There is a profound sense of connection to history, a realization that the mansion is more than a static relic. It is a vessel for memory, a silent witness to the hopes, fears, and sacrifices of those who walked its halls centuries ago. Even the most skeptical guests often leave with a renewed respect for the weight of history and the stories embedded in the spaces around them. In conclusion, the Shirley Eustace House in Roxbury is a testament to the enduring presence of history, both tangible and spectral. Phantom soldiers pacing the grounds, boots striking the wooden floors, whispers of commands, and fleeting apparitions all contribute to an atmosphere thick with past events and lingering spirits. Visitors report cold spots, moving objects, and a pervasive feeling of being observed, as though the mansion itself remembers every moment it has witnessed. For those willing to step inside, the experience is both chilling and awe-inspiring, a direct encounter with history that refuses to remain silent. The Shirley Eustace House is not merely a preserved relic. It is a living reminder that the echoes of the past and the spirits who once inhabited it continue to walk among us. From Boston's cobblestone streets to Salem's shadowed corners and Cape Cod's lonely shores, these mansions remind us that beauty and horror often share the same walls. Behind every polished banister and glistening chandelier lies a story of sorrow, unrest, and echoes that will not fade. If you ever find yourself standing before one of these grand estates, take a moment to listen. You might hear the faint laughter of a child long gone, the echo of footsteps on empty stairs, or the soft whisper of a forgotten soul. For in Massachusetts, the past never truly dies. It lingers in the walls, in the shadows, and in the silence, waiting for you to notice.